Oh, fuck. Most, but not quite. Something else. This is both the stupidest, but also kind of the most creative solution I've ever come up with for any chair-related problems. I am not going to lie. Oh, what? This belt doesn't have a thing? That sucks. I mean, I guess I can't make it look pretty back here, but I have to. All things considered. This around. There we are. That should hold this bobby pillow in place. This is probably the most cursed chair setup I have ever made. But I needed to make that chair more comfortable than it was. Alright. Welcome everybody. I know that the stream title hasn't been updated. I will be changing that momentarily. Honestly, a lot of things have kind of came together in the last hour, so I've been a little bit busy. My chair broke yesterday, so now I'm using a fucking office folding chair. Except, as I learned from yesterday, this thing is tiring to sit in for more than like 30 minutes. So I took a spare body pillow, and by spare I mean my only body pillow, and 2 belts, and now I have a comfortable chair to sit in again. The implication here being I strapped a pillow to make it more comfortable. And I chose a big pillow so I could wrap it around back. Also, yes, Anderson, I would like to answer your question. Unity is still in fact broken. I am still waiting on it to finish downloading. Welcome everybody. Reopen Notepad real quick. What are we on? Day 10, I think? Let me just check that real quick. I actually don't remember because it's been that long since I've actually done... this. Well, I'm gonna mute that. Everything seems to be working fine on Twitch's end. That's good, that's good. Okay, cool. I'm gonna close that. I'm gonna close that. Disconnected, that's fine. Set these to the latest versions. Get that. Alright, that should be enough. Now I can close that out. Oh, what is that set to? Still set to that. Start this up. Welcome. You just get my glasses in position. Alright. Sorry for how terribly unprepared all this was. Yep, I am on day 10. All right.
Can post these here. Yep, there we are. Alright, that's all that done. That was already announced there. Alright, everything looks good here. Do I still have water? Let me check this real quick. Well, not anymore, I don't. Just drank the rest of it. Alright, there's that. Why no notification? Oh, what? What do you mean no notification? What happened? There's a notification. It successfully added everybody in the Discord server. It might not have given a Twitch notification, but... Oh, that's good. I don't want Twitch to send them anyways. I mean, it would be useful, but the issue is it hurts discoverability. Or at least used to. I can't find the option anymore, so I'm assuming that they changed that. Also, I'm hoping... Yep, day 10, that was updated there. I might have to go to Video Producer to actually change it. Yep. Oh, I can't edit it while I'm still live here, so this will just be marked incorrectly, and I have to change the stream name again on the back end here, too. Wow, I love you, Twitch. Let me just make sure everything else is working fine. Mic is good, music is good, alert box and Discord, audio, things are good. Yeah, everything else looks like it's up and running. Got all the notifications sent out. Oh, I haven't announced on Twitter or Blue Sky yet. Fucking thoughtless jump scare. Come on. There we are. Ah, that should be fine. Alright, we are back. Okay. Okay. I can close the history there. I can close CurseForge out entirely. Notepad, I don't need open. I will leave this open in mod view preferably. Just in case, worst case scenario, I need to do some moderation on my own. Welcome everybody, we'll be starting soon. Hopefully very soon. Alright. Sorry for the delay. I've just been working on a lot of things. And simultaneously probably hasn't been the best idea. Alright, we are back to HUIC runs. So I haven't been on this character in a weekend, so about three or 4 days. So I don't quite remember exactly where we are, progress-wise. Wearing level 18 armor. We still need to make a new chest piece. I mean, that chest piece is still pretty decent, but I'd like the extra health, especially considering I'm limited to 406 health. Oh, I also need to alt tab out real quick to fix my setup on that side. There we go. I have a full set of crafted healing potions. They are high enough level for anything I could be doing. What am I at quest-wise? caught up, it seems like. Where am I discoveries-wise? Unfortunately, this does actually look like I'm caught up discoveries-wise as well for this stage of game. Okay, so caves. Looks like I still have some cave grinding to do. So it shall be done. I've unlocked fast travel between Deathless and Ragni. I have a Selchar scroll for some reason, which I can use if I remember correctly. I have a Ragni teleportation scroll instead of a Deathless scroll for some reason. I'm gonna rectify that because Deathless will be the more useful town. Oh, right, and I might have a daily reward available. Available in 3 seconds. Wow, gee, thanks, game. Thanks, Wynn. Honestly, all of that's gonna be sold anyways. I can't do anything with that, and I don't see any reason why I would need ability shards, but Morph gold, bad rolls too. Not like I can use it, but would it be nice? Not that it matters, it'll still sell for the same amount. I don't think there was anything better I could have gotten there, loot-wise. I could have gotten powders, that would have been nice, but that's a daily rewards moment. They don't really give you much useful. Alright, so ability point-wise, I'm going down fire damage, which means I would be looking for Flaming Uppercut next to better utilize that. I would also be looking for higher tier fire powders. I don't know what level PC, or not PC, yeah. You got me distracted, innocent. I don't know what level fire powders I'd be looking for. I should check my profession info. Chat full screen. Oh, and now we're talking. I'm at level 3 farming. Still second level for everything else. Yeah. Looks like I would need to... I could try and get my crafting skills leveled up. So I think I'll... yeah, that'll probably be the go-to. What dungeon do I have to complete for tier 4 again? Time Lost, Sanctum, or... yeah, I don't want to do either of those yet. I'm too low level. I'll die. Yeah, okay. Well, back to the mines it is, chat. Welcome to HUIC runs, where your primary issue is grinding. I wonder. Now, I don't need to keep the Ragni scroll because I have fast travel from Deathless to like a bunch of the extra places. And Selchar lets me get to virtually everywhere else. So I'm going to sell my Ragni teleportation scroll. Keep the Deathless and Selchar ones, because those are going to be my primary hubs to get everywhere throughout Wynn, and I haven't really done much in Gavel yet, so I don't really know what a good central point for Gavel would be. I'm imagining Sinfras would be a good one. So my end game inventory would likely contain only 3 teleportation scrolls: Deathless, Selchar, and Sinfras. Selchar lets me go to pretty much anywhere in the ocean. Deathless will have fast travel points to almost everywhere in Wynn. And Sinfras looks like it's in the center of Gavel, so I should be able to get everywhere I need to go from there. Even if not necessarily as quickly as, say, from Levigar. Deathless being labeled as a level 10 area is kind of crazy, considering most of the enemies are like level 17, level 13, and then like right over here there's a level 30 zombie encampment, which I probably shouldn't show off while I'm level 21. Not gonna lie, that's probably a stupid idea. Alright, Tidepool Terrace would be closest to Ragni, so I want to go out west, I believe. I think. Yeah, it'd be closer to Ragni than Aelkin. I think I've unlocked fast travel to Aelkin Village, too. I do not want to be part of that. I didn't even recognize that the world event was there for it. That took me a second. I'm so glad that I was able to get out in time. That could have been very bad. World events are incredibly dangerous for HUIC players, especially when nobody else is present, because HUIC players benefit immensely from being equal level or higher level than everything else. But for me, when I'm alone during world events, that just leaves me as a sitting duck to be tanking damage that at this level I'm not set up to tank yet. Also, I'm purposely not doing this quest because it gives you the breathing helmet, which will be stuck in your inventory, and I don't have any way of getting rid of it. As a result, I'm also not in here to farm out fishing or caves. I'm just in here to do the cave-related stuff. I can't use those potions. I can't sell them either, because health potions cannot be sold. Unidentified shark tooth, and that's this dungeon, or not dungeon, cave. That's this cave completed. Onwards to the next one. Oh, my pets are on. That is frustrating. That is incredibly frustrating. I just did this cave, didn't I? Why are my pets on? I never used them on this character. Well, I don't think I benefited from them at all, aside from extra damage. At least I'm hoping I didn't. Nothing in a way that I would have realistically needed to change. I didn't even realize they were following me around till just then. That sucks. They really do have 2 separate caves related to fighting crabs. Everything looks okay. Into the cave we go. Okay. This is, a very difficult cave. Wow, that was so hard. That was the hardest cave I've ever done. That cave just completed itself, basically. Give everything a second to load in. Now onwards to crypt excavation. Okay, the world seems to be struggling a little bit. Oh, I should have... I forgot to sell my stuff. That's on me. That's what I get for being dumb. Villager jump scare. That's all I have to say about that. Yo, hostage? I just sold a hostage. It's so over. So over, chat. Wow, ability shards absolutely useless. Why do they waste an inventory slot? So strong flesh, by the looks of it, is going to be the next primary focus. To get strong flesh, I'm probably going to go back to Ancestor's Grotto. And continue grinding that, but for now, I'm going to keep trying to catch up with caves. A lot of the reason why I make a lot of the decisions I do with HUAC runs comes down to how bored I get. I'm gonna be honest. HUAC runs can be incredibly boring at times, and being bored leads to you taking risks. And a lot of the times, those risks get me killed. So it's always good to have like a second monitor or something to keep you from getting too bored. If you have like a phone stand or something, put on a video or something. You don't want to have it be something that will drag your attention away too terribly much, but enough that you don't get bored and end up doing something stupid in game. Because distracted playing is arguably better because at least you're still engaged. When you get bored towards a certain extent, you might not notice certain things that could end up getting you killed. For the record, that piece of black wall there was not actually an exit, which is why the chest appears behind you. You have to go out the way you came in. This is one of like one or two caves, or one of two or three caves that actually forces you to go back out the way you came in on your own, organically. Alright, next cave. Ah, just missed the ledge there. I do at some point want to find a place where I can farm reliably for XP. Because I do think I am starting to get, I do think I'm starting to encounter an issue with combat level. Because I've already done all the content, right? And I've already got equipment that's borderline my level right now. And I've already, like, done that grind on this. Which means I need to actually start farming XP at some point. Like, proper farming, instead of, like, supplementally getting all the XP I need from just existing. To manage my stamina. Gotta love stamina. What an amazing mechanic. Whoa! I do not want to be down there. Alright, I have to be careful here. Even though I am incredibly over-leveled, I could still die here. I've almost died here on a level 30 character before. Because we go down. And then enter this first room. This first room isn't really the problem. You can see how precarious this gets, but trust me, this cave gets way more precarious. This room fucking sucks. They will struggle to push you off if you're crouching. I don't know if that's intended or not, but it is what happens. So it can be useful to crouch so you don't get knocked off. Also, always remember that when you're looting a chest, enemies cannot see you, so don't get intimidated, because, well, they can't, they're harmless. They're harmless until you leave the chest, of course. Alright, that got me a level up, which isn't bad. Now I can pick up Flaming Uppercut, which means I do significantly increased uppercut damage. Right. No proper inventory management. Wynncraft does that sometimes. Sometimes it does just put you in the ground. I don't know why it does that, but sometimes you are just put in the ground. Alright, there we are. Now, I have quite a bit of emeralds. I don't have many, but I have a decent amount. I have a functional amount. That's what matters. I'm still gonna spec exclusively into defense because damage bad. Man, my quest book's telling me to drink water while I'm drinking soda. It's so over. Being called out. I don't like it. I'm gonna go north to Nemract, and I think I'm gonna start doing some farming. Wait, I have its Selchar teleportation scroll. I'm stupid. Hold on. Oh, not high enough. Bad angling. Hold on. Ah, well, this should be fine. This will do as well, I guess. Alright, from here, I should be able to go to where I need to go. Sea Skipper. I'm gonna go to the Durum Isles for now. You know what time it is, chat? I never knew that the bell was interactable until that one person did that while I was on the boat. I didn't even know you can move around on the boat till I saw that one player walking around. I don't even remember their name. Anyways, it is time to farm. I'm specifically going to be here for, I think, oats. Am I high enough farming level for them yet? Level 30. Oats are green. I think the oats are here. Yeah, I think this is oat. The other one was malt. Yep. Alright, I think for now, I'm going to start making progress towards armor. So I'm going to collect these for their string. Which will be a slow and dragged out process. For better or for worse. This is what most of the gameplay will look like for HUIC runs. Again, I want to reiterate, HUIC is not a very challenging quote-unquote challenge. Most of HUIC is just preparation and deciding how much time you're willing to spend on preparing for content before doing the content. And if you make a bad choice, you lose and you have to try again. Which honestly isn't that bad. Part of me Part of me wants to bust out my controller so that I can just do this on controller, but not yet. Plus, I don't know where my controller is right now. Oh yeah, Innocent, by the way. The Project Ozone server is open right now. Or at least it should be. I don't entirely know. Last night I tried to get it up and running on my laptop. I'm hoping that I can get it running 24/7. I want to do that with a couple other game servers that we've been playing, but you know, I'm not working with really good hardware. I'm working with terrible hardware for my side stuff. My primary PC is actually really good, but this is kind of the only computer I have, so for my 24-hour like server stuff, I don't have a server on hand. I don't have a good one. I just have an old laptop with 12 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM at a blazing fast 2133. It's I think it's an 8th generation i5. Currently running on Linux. I was able to get Manjaro working on it pretty well. So performance-wise, it should be good enough. Which is decent. A lot of my issues with Linux in general just come down to I'm stupid. I will always prefer a functional GUI over a really well-documented terminal, just because you can document the terminal as well as you want, but at the end of the day, with Linux, there's a lot of different types of terminals you could be interacting with. Like, yes, Bash is pretty much the standard, but then there's also Shell, and each distro tends to have a slightly different way of handling certain commands, which means you're interacting with a different thing. Depending on what package manager you're using, which there's no standardization aside from the individual package managers themselves being consistent with themselves and only themselves, except when they aren't, because fuck you. Some distros like Manjaro's update stream isn't exactly the easiest for the free versions of Manjaro. I'm sure for the enterprise versions they streamline a lot of things, but I don't think Manjaro's used in the office very often anymore, if I'm gonna be honest. It's probably used primarily by IT managers who are trying to give out secure PCs to office workers and making it secure by giving them a custom variant of Manjaro that they've spent however much time securing for whatever needs that the company has. And I don't really know how well that applies towards the general user base of anybody in an office using a computer, especially nowadays. I will say though, Manjaro is really, really good for people who want the performance of Linux, like the performance benefits of Linux, for games. Because don't get me wrong, Manjaro is a bit of a pain in the ass to get functioning with certain things sometimes, especially with the existence of Pac-Man. Because Pac-Man is a perfectly fine... Pac-Man is a perfectly fine... fucking... Oh god, now I can't remember the name off the top of my head. See, this is the downside of disassociative. It's... you will forget things as you were saying it, and that's not just like a rare occurrence, it's like a constant thing. Because you won't remember what you said. I barely remember what I was talking about, which is unfortunate. Right. Pac-Man's perfectly serviceable, it works perfectly fine for what it's supposed to do. as a package manager, but it's also kind of frustrating to work with at times. Not saying that RPM or any of the rest are any better or different, but you know. The main benefit of Manjaro over other flavors of distros of Linux is that you can use Arch-based packages natively without having to do any translation bullshit. Because all Manjaro is basically just a fork of Arch Linux with added stuff thrown on top. And that's primarily how I've been using it, honestly, is just to have a lot of the benefits of how much stuff is available for Arch Linux without having to set up Arch Linux by hand. And I know that Arch now has an official installer that's like proper and stuff, but even with that, I'm lazy. And that wasn't a thing when I had first set up this laptop. So my familiarity with Linux now comes down to Ubuntu, Manjaro, and Debian. And personally, out of all of those for like gaming related purposes, I would recommend Manjaro unless you have access to SteamOS. I don't know when SteamOS is going to launch, but eventually, hopefully it launches. The likelihood of that happening soon is low. But there are options for using SteamOS, like unofficially, like through Chimera or a couple other options that are basically just SteamOS repackaged. But those aren't official and are buggy as hell if they even work 90% of the time. So for now, I'm sticking with Manjaro, and Manjaro also has the benefit of, like I said earlier, being able to pretty much plug and play any Arch package out there. While also having basic level support for any desktop environment stuff I could need. And I've been having a lot of fun with my Manjaro laptop. I think I have it officially labeled as my work laptop. I've been having a lot of fun with it. I've been learning quite a bit, getting a lot better at handling Linux stuff. At this point, the problem is every time I touch the laptop, I forget the password to it. I find it eventually, but it takes time. And I also keep forgetting, like I have to remind myself of how the terminal works very often. Because I haven't really sat down and primaried Linux. Like I haven't had Linux of any flavor be my primary operating system for a couple years now. I have used it as my primary OS of choice when I was in high school. I used it while I was in the CIS room. I actually installed it on the primary school computer that I was using at the time, and that was how I would interact with all my schoolwork. That was how I would game. That's how I would test a lot of the things I tested. And I thoroughly enjoyed the process, but eventually moved back to Windows just because of software support issues and honestly driver support. Like, I will not get, for all the advantages and benefits to performance you will get from running something on Linux, the drivers for Linux, even from AMD, like my computer is all AMD right now. I have an AMD graphics card, I have an AMD CPU, I have RAM specifically tuned for AM4, like pretty much everything in this computer that I'm using right now is AMD or AMD adjacent. Aside from the storage, and I guess the network drivers for the Ethernet port, which I am using. And even with this PC, I still notice that I get worse performance in most games on Linux, even with the most recent drivers. And I think that comes down to the drivers for Linux, even with AMD, are just not the best. Like, yeah, you get software encoded, like you get better CPU performance out of anything CPU intensive on Linux, but the moment you're talking about something that's GPU intensive, you'll hit driver limitations very quickly. And I don't know if that changes with like paid driver options. I don't even know if there are any paid driver options. But Linux has historically always had issues with the official drivers from any given company. AMD barely upkeeps their Linux drivers. They have them there officially, first party, which is cool and interesting. They're open sourced and everything, which is cool and interesting. But the primary issue becomes they aren't well upkept. Like I said, they're there, they're present, and it's cool that they exist, but they aren't very good. At least compared to the performance you get on the Windows drivers, assuming you are able to make up for the CPU overhead that Windows introduces. Comparatively to Linux, of course. And I guess for a well-balanced system, you're not going to notice any differences unless you're talking about different like shifts and workloads. So Windows would be for any workload that's GPU heavy, then Linux would perform better on CPU heavy workloads. But honestly, I can't really notice the biggest difference in CPU performance at my level, like with my primary PC. If anything, I've noticed Linux is kind of slower. Not like less responsive, but it takes more time to do basic things. Which isn't too terribly problematic, but, you know, still kind of strange to me. Innocent, where are you going? I'm getting notifications that you keep arriving and then leaving again. Like 3 times in the past, like, minute. Am I blind? Where's the blacksmith? On stream or MC? IRL! I keep getting notifications from fucking maps that you keep leaving your house and then re-entering it. Are you helping with gardening or something? I literally just got like 3 notifications. It'd be even funnier if they were like stacked up from earlier, because they don't like there's no timestamps on these notifications. It's just whenever they bother to update their location. No, I'm shitting. Okay, so it's just your phone drifting. Got it. Alright, I think I go back to the Duramiles now. Wait, actually, I have all the oat string I need. I think I start collecting oat grains then, because I'm gonna be using the grains for potions. So, I'm gonna go back there again. We're gonna repeat that whole thing again. But anyways, as I was saying, when you have hardware that's good enough, like mid-tier to high-end hardware, I don't think you'll notice the difference between Linux and Windows performance very much. I noticed that on Linux, file transfers took longer. What happened? Oh, it slipped under the belt. That sucks. I noticed that file transfers take longer for some reason. I need to repair my scuffed chair real quick. Give me a second. I'm using a belt to hold the pillow in place, and the pillow just slipped out from underneath the belt. Oh god, this is the most weirdly almost comfortable chair I've sat in. I hate this. The moment I get affiliate, the first dono goal is going to be getting me a new fucking chair, because my god, this is actually painful. You know, so many jokes about how people have better gaming chairs than each other. I'm a firm believer that a better chair will mean better performance. Not for any reason other than the fact that being more comfortable means you are more likely to focus on a specific task that you're doing. At the very least, you need a chair that's comfortable enough that it doesn't feel actively painful to sit in for more than 30 minutes. And unfortunately, this chair is not designed to be sat in for more than 30 minutes. And I've already been sitting in it for an hour to 2 hours roughly, give or take, with some breaks here and there. Other good news. Because I went to bed so late last night, my sleep schedule seems to have been fixed. I was able to actually keep myself asleep until around 8 a.m. Which is good, because before today, for like the last 2 weeks, and not even 2 weeks, for like the last month, I've been stuck in this weird schedule of waking up at like midnight or 1 a.m., staying awake until like 4 p.m., then passing the fuck out till midnight again. Which doesn't fit my normal sleep schedule and doesn't fit my streaming schedule and such. I want to stream for longer like I used to, primarily because longer streams honestly tend to perform better. But secondarily because longer streams let me do more, and if I can do more with a stream, I can be more entertaining. What I find when it comes to me streaming and stuff is I start out pretty boring, but the more comfortable I get, the longer the stream goes on for. Up until I start getting physically tired, honestly. I get more and more comfortable with whatever's happening and more focused. But that ends up making the restrictions towards, honestly, my sleep schedule. Because I will start to lose focus once I'm not, once I'm tired and such. And honestly, I slept pretty well last night, aside from the wake up at midnight, but after that I slept pretty well. No weird nightmares this time. That's been another weirdly consistent thing over the past month. I don't even want to mark them as nightmares because I immediately recognize what's happening and just sit there in confusion. It's kind of jarring, because, like, I don't know if I've described this before, but I'm very good at determining reality from not, but I'm also very good at tricking myself, because my dreams are very, very vivid and very descriptive, like, very specific. But a lot of the times something turns into a nightmare one of two things happens. Either I'm genuinely terrified because the nightmare is so specific that it's more like I'm experiencing something that's terrible, like a car crash or a close friend dying, that kind of thing. Or it's something that's so out of the ordinary, I already know it's fake. And I kind of enter a state where I know what's happening isn't real, and I know I'm most likely asleep, but I also don't have control over my dream, so I don't have control over what's happening. I'm just aware of what's happening, so I just kind of sit on the back burner and confusedly try to figure out, all right, well, what do I do now? And that usually ends with me waking up and just not being able to fall asleep again. Not because I'm scared, but because I'm just so fucking confused that I wake up from being confused. And like I've tried various things to like try and control my dreams, but a lot of the times it feels almost as if it's not me in control of the dreams, which would make sense. Unfortunately, a downside of DID is just because I'm there witnessing something or experiencing something doesn't mean that it's myself making it. Even not like talking subconsciously, I'm talking consciously. It could be something else in control of the dream, or somebody else, one of the other alters, which is always interesting because it makes it kind of hard to control dreams, which is probably why mine are so all over the place, from like super hyper realistic all the way towards what the fuck is happening. And I honestly think a fair amount of what's happening when it comes to the fucking weird pseudo nightmares is probably just boredom. Like, I've always been interested in horror as a topic, so I'll always occasionally, not occasionally, I will almost always have watched or recently be watching something horror related or playing a horror game. In this case, obviously right now I'm not, but earlier I've been listening to some SCP articles and whatnot, voiced by the Vulcan, which, by the way, he does some good stuff over on YouTube. If you're ever bored and want to fall asleep to somebody talking, the Vulcan over on YouTube does a lot of interesting stories. Reads a lot of interesting stories. They're usually SCP articles, which can vary from absolute memes to existential horrors to just the most random stories, like the toaster that forces you to talk about it in first person. It's not a sentient toaster, to my knowledge. You're just forced to refer to it in the first person, and that's it. That's the anomaly. Then there's the more serious stuff that actually tells a story, and a lot of those SCPs are pretty interesting. But anyways, it could also just be that. I've always had a fascination with horror, so could very well be that. I don't know. I likely never will know. Just the nature of how things go, I guess. It does have a downside of whenever I'm experiencing something in real life that is either terrible or bad, I have to do the second guess of, do I remember waking up this morning? Because I have to make sure I'm not sleeping, so I react appropriately. Which, I mean, obviously I make that determination fairly quickly, and worst case scenario, I always treat things as if they're real, but it also makes it hard to keep track of what things actually happened versus didn't. Sometimes. So sometimes I'll have to wake up and spend like 5 minutes trying to decipher my own memories to figure out what was bullshit and what was actually real. And most of the time that's fairly easy of like, okay, well, obviously I'm not going to have been in this part of the country at this time. Or obviously this couldn't have happened because it took place here, etc. A lot of the times it's just overly specific. But there have been times where I've had to actually call Innocent and ask for clarification. Now, of course, does Innocent reliably pick up the phone? No. Innocent doesn't reliably wake up to their own alarms. Innocent has woken up me and everybody else in the friend group with their alarms more often than they've woken themselves up with those alarms. Which, by the way, Innocent, for the love of God, please change your alarm. Clearly, whatever alarm you're using right now doesn't work for anybody. Or, sorry, it doesn't work for you. It works for everybody but you. You keep pointing this out, and you're like, I don't set alarms. And then it's like, okay, we're sitting here on call, listening to your phone through its own microphone. Play the alarm. Which is incredibly loud. You'd be surprised how loud a alarm going off can be when the device with the microphone that's streaming through Discord is also the device playing the fucking alarm. So thank you, Innocent. Pretty much every time by the time you've woken up, I've already forgotten about it. I think at one point Tom accidentally sent a message about it in the group chat instead of in DMs. Which is funny because I saw that and immediately laughed. Because I was literally about to send the same message. Okay. Man, shaders look so cool. I love how shaders look. Distant Horizons plus shaders is so cool. Now, if that isn't ominous. It's not that ominous because there's a fucking barn house in the way, but you know. Ah, that was the wrong one. Saved screenshot. What button did I press? I didn't press F2. What? I have a button that's not I have a button that's not F2 that's bound for screenshot. I'm confused. I blame Wintils. Also, Innocent, I can't help but notice you're not trying to defend yourself or talking in chat anymore. Are you trying to hide? I can see you're still in chat. You know that there's a convenient list that shows that you are still here. It actually even separates moderators out into their own section so I can see every moderator present. I know you're still here. Still shitting. It's so over. Wait, Innocent. It's been almost 20 minutes. Why are you... Fix your... Innocent, fix your diet. My god, it's been 20 minutes. How is this consistently a problem with you? Like, I can understand, like, a one-off here and there. But, like, every single day, you wonder why so many people reach out to you while you're shitting. It's because you're always shitting. Like, the moment anybody needs you, it turns out you've been on the shitter for, like, 3 hours. At this point, I think you spend more time in the bathroom than you do sleeping. I'm going to be honest. You know, most people spend 5 minutes or at most 10 minutes in the bathroom when they're not showering. Sometimes they'll spend longer than that if they're just like scrolling through YouTube videos and such. Like if they're taking their time, they might take 30 minutes to an hour. Also, I'm out of durability. But my point is, you shouldn't be fighting with... Oh, hey, Innocent, did you alt-tab? Are you not looking? Innocent, it's your job. It's them. They're here. Do your job, Innocent. You said you were ready. You said you were prepared. And you spent 20 minutes in the bathroom. This one's on you. Hold on, let me refresh this list. Let me see. You're still here, Innocent. I see you. You're still here. You still haven't done anything about it. Oh, there you are. That took you over a minute. That was 1 minute and 45 seconds, Innocent. I was calling it out the entire time. Back to the toilet. Innocent, you just... This is why we can't have nice things. Alright, I think this is good, actually. Wait, what's the level 20? Oh, I have to farm. Oh, I have to farm gold with the tier 3 pickaxe. Without profession speed or XP bombs. Oh, at this level too. That's gonna be dangerous. Oh, that's incredibly dangerous. Man, I don't want to do that. I don't have a choice, but... That means that I have to... Ugh. Okay. To Deathless I go. Give everything a chance to load in. I should probably equip my cosmetics just because I'm lazy. I don't really have that many good effects. I mean, I have this effect. I find it interesting because this reminds me of like an unusual effect from TF2. I don't think there's a specific rainbow one like this, but I will point out that it is basically just a TF2 style unusual effect. I don't like that it doesn't do the rainbow thing constantly. I think it'd be cool if it didn't turn into the ball and it just stayed as the rainbow thing, but you know, it is what it is. Still looks cool and only has an impact on gameplay when I dare look upwards or have to move upwards. Climbing ladders is always interesting with this effect enabled, primarily because it's visible in first person. Probably a result of the mod. Of one of the many mods that I have. Innocent, it's your time again. Do your job. It's already been too long, Innocent. You had time to react. You've had more than enough time to react. It's still there. Innocent. My god. If it weren't already restricted by default. Oy vey. Right. I don't know where I'm gonna No. No. I do know. To the abandoned mines I go. I don't want to go to the abandoned mines, man. I don't like this place. It's dangerous at this level, but I literally have to go here if I want to progress. I don't know why these bots keep targeting me. Like, you know what? I guess it's because they're targeting me, not my viewers. but still, I've made them waste probably a couple hundred accounts at this point. I also specifically have it set so that they have to have a verified email and or phone number. And most of them don't follow, which means they have to have a verified phone number to chat. As for followers, they only have to have a verified email to chat, but for people who aren't following me, they have to have a verified email and phone number or have been on the platform for a long period of time. And most of these accounts are new, so obviously they have a verified phone number connected to their account because it's the only way that they could be sending messages. Unless Twitch is, for whatever reason, letting these accounts send messages anyways, and then blocking those messages before the realization of like automod or shield mode stuff and chat permissions. They have it go through the other channels first, which I guess could be useful for catching scammers and stuff, but for botters that are trying to bait streamers into making stupid decisions and doing objectively bad and stupid things, like, I don't see the point in that, or at least have that be toggleable. Go shower now, good luck. Thank you, Innocent. Have fun in the shower. Good luck, have fun, don't die. Stay safe. Oh, and mind the tree. I still can't get over the fucking tree under the bathtub. How did that shit have a leaf? How is it getting light? Oy vey. Alright, when it comes to... Right, what was I going on about earlier? I swear, I had an idea for something I wanted to talk about quickly. Now I can't remember what it was. Oh, right, I want to elaborate on the chair thing, because for whatever reason, chairs are surprisingly hard to get your hands on, especially repairable ones. Yeah, you can repair, in heavy quotes, pretty much any chair that you have, but that requires either one, having a supplier of those chairs that just has a bunch of spare parts from RMAs, or just having a machine shop to machine your own parts. And yeah, sometimes you can find like standard swappable parts, but like the part of my chair that broke wasn't the only part of the chair that should have broke. The first part of a chair that should break, especially of like an office style chair, it should always be the piston. The piston should be the only major point of contention or like point of failure in your chair. It should not be the legs of your chair. Those should not be the primary thing that is most likely to go out first. It should always be the piston, because the piston's the only part that has active moving parts that require proper maintenance and lubrication. Like, yeah, sure, they can run for a while if they aren't properly maintained, upwards of decades, but that's why they should be the only part that needs to be replaced or that is liable to breaking. The frame of the chair itself shouldn't break after 5 years of just normal use. And break very suddenly, mind you, without any extra, like, weight thrown on. Working entirely within spec, that frame should theoretically last forever. So why the hell did this chair break? And specifically, why did the frame itself break before the piston did? Mind you, the piston was already degraded. Like, the piston isn't the best, but it's still good enough to hold up my weight. The frame shouldn't have given out first. For those who don't know, the part of a chair that lets you move up and down and like adjust it up and down is a small piston in the base. It's why you'll notice a lot of office chairs and gaming chairs will have the style of one central like tube that goes up. That tube is usually a piston of some kind or equivalent. Piston might not be the right word. Let me look this up. I want to make sure I'm using the right terminology real quick. Chair gas lift cylinder. If that was what if the chair gas lift cylinder was what broke on this chair, it'd actually be an easy replacement. Yeah, it's a gas lift pneumatic cylinder piston. Yeah, okay. And like there are dedicated spots to get these types of parts, but they're just not reliable. That's the issue. There's no reliable way to source the right parts, first party or even third party. Like there are some standards, like for gaming chairs, for example. There is some standard because they're all the same chair with different branding on them. But fundamentally, there are major differences that can cause problems. Something as small as, say, an outcrop on the piston. Why is its head... What is... I'm just gonna ignore it. If I don't look at it, nothing bad happens, right? Anyways. Point I'm trying to get at, the pistons are like the only actual proper moving part aside from the wheels. And we've basically perfected wheels at this point in human history. Like, wheels are super reliable. If your wheel breaks, it's likely because you were doing something out of spec for it that it doesn't properly support, or that you shouldn't have been doing with it to begin with. And pneumatic pistons are not in the same position because they still require active lubrication. The lubricants used for chair uses generally will keep it going for the better part of decades, but sometimes they don't last nearly as long, as I mentioned earlier with that. But unfortunately, it seems recently they've made them with cheap plastics, like the chair I had, which only lasted 5 years, and now it's broken on the ground next to me. Not the piston, mind you, but the plastic base, which I will give them is a pretty durable plastic, but evidently not durable enough for completely normal use. Like, I am half of the supported weight, or actually no, probably less than that. I'm less than half the supported maximum weight that chair allegedly supported, and it lasted me 5 years. I was well below the worst case scenario, and it still broke on me in a way that insinuates I put too much weight on it. Well, you know what? Not even that. I'm not even gonna say it was something that was like putting too much weight on it, because the way it broke, I'm convinced, was just because the plastic is such a... The plastic specifically that they chose, it looks like it melted. It looks like the plastic itself melted. I have no idea how that could have happened, but it looks melted. I suspect that this plastic is just not good. It's possible there was an issue or like imperfection in the plastic they used for it, which I guess would be a manufacturing defect that they couldn't really account for, but I can't, it's a chair, like I can't really RMA a chair. I don't have any means to send something basically half of my size through the mail right now. And I don't really have any way of RMAing it. The chair itself was a gift to begin with, so I don't have any of the purchase records or receipts for it. I guess that's what I get for accepting a chair as a gift. In hindsight, it is probably one of the weirdest Christmas gifts I've ever been given, was a half-decent chair that was a knockoff of a knockoff of a knockoff that evidently wasn't very good quality. The chair wasn't ever really comfortable. I always had to use, like, a little bit of extra padding because I don't know what leather, or not, I'm not gonna say leather. I don't know what pleather they used, but my god, it is the most uncomfortable to sit on. And the padding and cushioning is fine. It's just whatever fucking sleeve, like whatever pleather they chose is just not good. I'm assuming that everybody here knows what pleather is. Needless to say, leather is expensive, so there are fake variants of leather called pleather. Usually it's just a fake that's made out of polymer, otherwise known as plastic. It is not nearly as good at certain things as leather is, but it is still good enough in the fact that it looks like it. So it is usually used to make leather-like things, you know, fakes. And it has its own legitimate uses as a material, but it is also not something that I would recommend using for wearables or for chairs or pillow cases for that matter. Like, I will give that chair this. It was a good shape, but that's about all it had going for it, and even then, it being a good shape was more of it being a knockoff than anything else. Actually, there's a massive gap between the base of the... or I guess it's not really a massive gap. It is a relatively sizable gap between the base of the chair and the back of the chair, because the way it mounts on, you have to screw it into the sides, and then there's the side bracket that screws into the side that holds it up. There's nothing actually holding the back of the chair to the back of the base. It's held onto the sides of the base via some metal brackets, which would be fine, but those metal brackets don't line up perfectly, which leaves a gap between the base and the back. And the gap it doesn't look like it's supposed to be there. It's like weirdly angled. It looks almost as if I built it incorrectly, but it's not like there were other options for screw holes. There was only the one set of screw holes. There was only one possible way I could have put it on. And it's not like I switched the sides and got the left versus right wrong, because they were identical, almost identically machined parts, and they weren't labeled for left or right explicitly. I say almost identical because part of the gap, like I said, is angled. So again, back to it being a knockoff of a knockoff of a knockoff. And still probably cost over $100. I would not be surprised. Because chairs, like everything, are fucking expensive. And for chairs, I would argue for no reason, because most of the materials to make a chair are like shit you can purchase for 25 bucks on Amazon or from an office supply store. And then another 25 if you want to use a pneumatic piston cylinder, because the pneumatic piston cylinders are usually like 25, 30 bucks themselves. So if you wanted to make a fancy adjustable chair, double the price, but for something that's so mass-produced generally, you would expect that the material cost would be the primary cost. But no, the primary cost is this arbitrary upcharge that so many fucking companies just throw on the chairs. Because there's no competition. Like, what are you gonna do? Get a fucking $50 office chair? Good luck finding a comfortable one that's not just garbage. At that point, you'd be better off going on like Facebook Marketplace or eBay and praying that there's somebody giving chairs away for free locally. For that matter, something that's kind of surprising to me is how easy it is to get furniture for free, because there's just so much old furniture that people don't want anymore because it's not useful to them, but would be useful to other people. And they don't bother selling it because that takes more effort than 90% of people are willing to put into it. But also, it's kind of hard to get this furniture where you need to bring it because, again, it's pretty much just do it yourself. It's the DIY solution to getting furniture, quite literally. You would think at this point that there would be like cheaper options for new furniture, just in general. Because it's not like the material prices have changed that much. The machining prices have absolutely gotten cheaper. There's no way in hell that they haven't, especially considering we're able to... The fact that you can buy a computer for like $150 that has tolerances down to individual fucking atoms tells me that reasonably we would be able to manufacture almost whatever we want if we tried hard enough. Probably with some major exceptions, don't get me wrong, but if we're able to get the manufacturing costs on that so far down, or the machine costs specifically, I think it just comes down to the labor costs have gone up, and that's fine. I don't mind labor costs going up because cost of living's going up, but maybe it's not going up everywhere, but at least where I live in the US, cost of living is fucking skyrocketing. Between me and Liz, I've basically been making all of the food recently, and we're still spending... Like, we're just not eating at this point. Between me and Liz, we just don't eat anymore. We eat like once, at most, once a day. And generally we will go a couple days without eating before one of us caves, generally me, and cooks food, and a large portion of food that we then both eat, and then that lasts us a day or two. And despite that, we're still spending like $100 to $150 a week on food. And we're like, I'm going out of my way to make sure we're getting the cheap stuff. I'm unemployed right now. I have to go out of my way to make sure that we're min-maxing money as much as we can, because I'm kind of stuck in a bad situation generally. Especially because, for whatever reason, it seems like there's no job openings in the area. Again, this has always been an issue in the US of, like, you apply to get a job somewhere and then you get ghosted. Just period. Like, that's... Well, I guess not always been an issue. Recently, that's been a wide issue. But at least, usually you'll get some reply backs that aren't scams. Recently, pretty much every reply back I've been getting has been a scammer just trying to get my information. And, like... First of all, the fact that that's even a problem is completely insane to me, because I'm only applying to these jobs through official means, which implies to me that they're ghosting and then selling the information, which should be illegal, just outright. If you're hosting applications for job offers, it should just be illegal to sell that information, and to get caught selling that information is insane. Which, for one, makes me kind of hesitant to apply anywhere, kind of generally. And it makes me hesitant to actively promote myself as looking for work. Because I guess that's where 90% of the information or some shit's coming from. When people are actively at a job, their information from that job likely isn't being sold because they still work there. But the moment they're out of that job, then it's fair game. And it's easy to collect their information because they're just giving it out to basically every company who asks. Which, I mean, I guess it's necessary, but also what the fuck? This isn't illegal? It feels like it should be. But apparently it's not. I mean, in some states it is, but then it comes down to that's only enforceable if they're operating out of those states. And nothing stops them from just not operating out of those states. And then whenever people apply and they do this, if they get caught, they can just say, oh, well, we don't really accept hirings from that state. We just kind of sell the information generally. The likelihood of them being forced to implement something is very low. The likelihood of being called out as being a repeat offender is very low, especially here in the US. If you spend the right amount of money in the right spot, people seem to just ignore what you do. Which, I mean, I get it. Everybody's desperate for money, which means you're more likely to be able to just buy people. And then that would be just that. What are they gonna do? Not take the extremely lucrative offer? I guess it doesn't help that a fair amount of people here in the United States are very self-centered. We have a very individualistic focus, and I don't like that. Like, I don't mind it under certain contexts, but with the way that this country has increasingly been going, politically and just generally, it seems a lot more like we're shifting from the American dream type individualist towards a more, how do I put this, just pure capitalist hellscape. Because that very much so seems to be where we are right now, is just unregulated capitalism, which sucks. Capitalism can be good if it's well regulated and like properly implemented and maintained by authority, but when that's not happening, it leads to a lot of issues, like active extortion that's being disguised as either lobbying or any other number of things. Everybody agrees these things are bad. Are they doing anything about it? Mostly no, and the people that are doing stuff about it are being paid a lot of money to not do anything. Or they just quietly disappear and nobody ever hears from them again, because that seems to be a fairly common play. Especially if they aren't powerful themselves, and by powerful I mean wealthy, because the difference between wealth and power seems to come down to the intelligence of the person in wealth. Which is kind of concerning, considering most people who are wealthy are one of two things: either incredibly lucky or incredibly skilled. And the people who are incredibly skilled generally don't care that they're wealthy, they just keep their wealth as a side product to help do the thing that they're good at and help do it better. And then there are the idiots that get lucky. I mean, granted, there are plenty of smart people that will get lucky as well, but when smart people get lucky and get money, sometimes it doesn't exactly go the same way as if they got money for being skilled. I could speak from this firsthand, witnessing it. Some people just cannot handle money. No matter how skilled they might be at their trade, some people just cannot handle money when they are given an ungodly good opportunity that does not match their skill level. And again, I'm not saying I was this person. I wasn't. It was my father, who was very skilled and talented, and still is, but I would argue he's not in the best position because he was kind of thrust into making a fair amount of money, despite not entirely understanding the consequences of it. He had a lot of skill and talent. He didn't have a lot of dedication, and he hadn't earned the amount of money he was making so much as got lucky on getting a contract that paid well, like really well, and then proceeded to mishandle all of the money as well as the job itself, which led to the contract not being renewed and him waiting for the same opportunity that was entirely luck-based again for 8 years, only to then give up and work for Amazon, which is kind of funny. Actually, objectively funny, because he went from making what would have honestly put him in the first class all the way down towards minimum wage because he had an opportunity, ignored literally everybody in his life who was telling him, like giving him advice on how to handle the money, what to do with certain things. Just ignored all of it in favor of being dumb because he thought he was good enough to earn that type of money because he got lucky with a contract. He got lucky one time and tried to run with it, but didn't know what the fuck he was doing. And honestly, that would be fine if he had listened to everybody around him who was giving him advice. Which is kind of extra frustrating because he did have good people around him who were actually experienced with this type of thing and who were actually giving good advice, and he just didn't care. He didn't listen. And that's on him. That goes towards a lot of people, and I've also witnessed this in some of my peers when we got out of high school, like when we graduated. I noticed some of them got really, really lucky opportunities that paid fairly well from the seams of it, and then I immediately see them basically spending all their money, and now that it's been several years, I look and, turns out they didn't know how to do that job, and they didn't take anybody around them's advice to learn what they were doing. They just thought that they would be able to keep it, and then they couldn't. And that became a problem. But I don't know. That's kind of the part that's terrifying about an effectively unregulated capitalist anything, because when you lose regulations, you lose the protections that make it so that people who are knowledgeable and good at what they're doing can, you know, keep being knowledgeable and good at what they're doing and be the authority figures in any given room, versus people who just got absurdly lucky. What ends up happening now is most people who are really high up in certain industries just got lucky or aren't even experienced in the industry. Like, you can look at a bunch of companies that, there's a bunch of companies that have gone under, and then their CEOs, like, never heard of the industry before they started working there. Ooh, there's one that comes to mind. Hold on. There's one that comes to mind right now that I could use as an example. I need to look this up real quick for my own sanity, because I want to make sure I'm calling out this company specifically. It's okay, they're not a company anymore to my knowledge. I mean, they might still be. Let's find out. Because I'm actually very curious about this. Because I know a couple things went down with them. When was this? When was it that this came to light? How many months ago? Well, it was definitely after this. Yeah, it was definitely after this, I think. Oh, wait, this might have been last year. Yeah, they're fine. There was a cooler company for PC hardware. There was a PC hardware cooling company. I cannot remember the name of it off the top of my head right now. And that's what I'm trying to find. Oh, it's this video. EK, yes. Yeah, the company EK that made a bunch of computer cooling components. That company initially started out as just a home lab type thing. Was actually really respectable, and it was a good company for a while. It was actually well respected within the PC building DIY community. And especially among enthusiasts. But eventually, what ended up happening over the last couple of years was there were disagreements between the executive teams and the actual people who started the company. So a couple of them left, and then eventually an executive gets in control who has no fucking clue what he's doing, doesn't know the first thing about the engineering of anything involved, and is only focused on turning the money around. And what he ends up doing is things like shorting stock and just destroying the company from the inside out and pocketing the money and or giving the money to his friends. Which he was called out for and eventually caught doing, and he's now in legal trouble, but he's currently in a situation where the extent of the legal trouble was no longer being part of EK, except he is still, for some reason, somehow, and having his assets frozen. And that only ended up happening because he got called out, because he got bold and decided to stop paying employees. So he stopped paying employees, and from there, he got caught as a result of dozens of whistleblowers eventually coming out and basically screaming that there were issues happening, which led to proper investigations. But if he hadn't decided to stop paying employees, if he had actually handled the money slightly better or had been smart about his thievery, he would still be stealing from that company and he would still be driving EK into the ground. And there are examples of similar things happening all over so many different industries. There was a games company recently that has been going down the fucking gutter, and that's because their fucking CEO was somebody who was not even from the gaming industry. He never worked for a games company before. He worked for, like, I don't even fucking remember what industry it was. It was like some utilities industry. That was his portfolio, and he was hired on the spot because they needed a CEO. And they brought on somebody who had literally no experience with the industry, and then he ran that company into the fucking ground. Like, there are plenty of examples of this if you look for specifics. EK is just one example. Especially recently, a lot of them have been being called out for many, many, many reasons. The gaming company in question, by the way, was Blizzard. And yeah, Blizzard is kind of vaguely maybe recovering, but not really. Blizzard is still in a terrible, terrible spot as a company for many, many reasons. And the same goes for a fair amount of the gaming industry. And when you look at it, you can pretty much blame the CEOs for money flowing the wrong directions, or for not knowing how to manage the company or the industry that they're in charge of. Because like I said, lucky idiots who think they actually have a skill will then proceed to try and be the super entrepreneurs that they are, and will just run companies into the ground. When they realize they don't know what they're doing and are just going to run the company into the ground, they cover their asses by doing what they do best, running away with as much money as they possibly can. And then rinsing and repeating until eventually they make it. Or at least in their eyes, until they make it, which isn't going to happen. More likely than not. And again, there are some completely legitimate reasons to hire CEOs from other companies. Like there are, there are some CEOs who might not have any official records of business within a given industry, but might unofficially be well known in the industry for other reasons. Like their prior industries of work don't have to be related. That's not necessarily the problem. It's just hiring somebody for the top level of a company who fundamentally does not understand the industry they're stepping into because they don't have any experience with it, period, provable or otherwise, is stupid. But yet it happens so regularly because everybody thinks that the only job that executives do is running money. But that's the problem, is they do a little bit more than running money. They set the vision of the company. Whoever's in charge of an organization or company has to be aware of how the industry functions on a fundamental level, or at the very least has to be aware of the product they're making, because if they aren't, they won't be able to make the product good. They won't be able to assist their employees to make a better product than the competitors when they don't even understand how the fucking product works and what vaguely their employees might need from them. Which is going to be increasingly a problem, especially considering the current view on retail workers is pretty much scum for some ungodly reason. I don't know, I guess some people in power thought it'd be funny if they spent however many years trying to make retail workers out to be the worst people on the planet. Which is so fucking weird, because retail work is kind of hard. And by kind of, I mean it's very hard. Retail work is equal parts security and public speaking, and the point is, I was working as a quote-unquote gas station cashier, right? My official position was guest service associate or gas station attendant, but everybody calls it cashier because they don't ever interact with these employees or workers beyond either they're the manager or they're working the cash register, even though the cash register isn't even close to the only thing I have to do. Especially because most gas stations are, you know, single coverage shifts, which means there's only one person in the gas station generally at any given point in time, unless there's a major delivery or something that needs to be done, aside from the manager. I was running that gas station myself. I was the only employee in the building for upwards of 10 to 12 hour shifts, where it was just me running the whole thing, keeping everything stocked, keeping everything cleaned, running the cash registers, making sure that the cash registers didn't break, that the self-checkout wasn't broken, making sure that everything was properly organized and categorized in the proper aisles, making sure that customers weren't trying to rob or steal, making sure customers weren't assaulting each other, keeping the parking lot clean, making sure that people weren't dealing drugs in the parking lot or killing each other in the parking lot or anywhere around the parking lot, making sure nobody was stashing things, making sure nobody was ditching the cops or dodging the cops. And I have had so many occasions where I've had people actively threaten me. Luckily, I've never been actively robbed. I've just had people threatening me because they were drunk, high on drugs, or otherwise just insane or not in a good state of mind. And thankfully, I haven't been hurt yet. Well, I say yet, I don't work there anymore because I got fired, but I'll get over I'll describe that later. Luckily, I didn't get hurt, but I have had situations where I've had to talk my way out of a bad situation. And mind you, I'm a gas station attendant. They don't give us weapons. I have no means of defending myself aside from hand to whatever weapon they pull, which is never ideal, especially in the cases of a gun, because what the fuck am I gonna do? I might have mild knowledge of how to handle those situations, and I have a better understanding than most people on how to handle weapons, but I'm not military. I'm just barely better than your average civilian. That's it. So in those situations, I just have to talk them down and hope that other people are in the store and paying attention. And I encountered a lot more situations where it was a question of, am I going to be able to convince this person that it's a bad idea to injure me? Not because they're trying to rob me, but because their goal is to threaten, intimidate, or whatever. I have to convince them it's a bad idea to go through with that. Because again, their goal isn't robbery, so I can't follow the corporate procedure, which would be throwing the money at them and praying, which is also incredibly dumb. Like, I can understand the don't be a hero type talk, but when your company is telling you not to be a hero and to just give them the money, that's all well and good, but, like, I don't know, give us a taser or something, a stun gun, something behind or under the counter that we can use to protect ourselves. Because more often than not, if somebody pulls a weapon on us, it's going to be a knife, and we have a counter between us. We have distance, we have enough distance. Hell, if they're asking for money, we just reach for the stun gun. It would be fine, and they're dirt fucking cheap and easy to maintain. Also, if we press the panic buttons, you just get in trouble. Even if you had a legitimate reason to press the panic buttons, you are not supposed to press it unless you got robbed. Yes, past tense, you're not allowed to press the panic button until after the robbery has occurred, not during. You would get fired if you pressed it during. My point is, all of this is shit I had to keep track of myself, and I had nobody else there to help me. I was alone. And you want to know what I got paid for that? $16.90 an hour. That sounds like a lot, but I want you to know, the cheapest apartment we found in the area was $1,000 a month, and that is with nothing. That is no utilities. That is just paying for the apartment. And that is a fucking studio. God forbid you want to actually live in a proper apartment. Like right now I'm living in a 2-bed, 1 bath with Liz. It's a nice apartment. We have some utilities included. And like Liz alone can barely afford it. Between me and Liz, we were able to be relatively stable. We were spending, between the two of us, half of our income on bills monthly, including rent, to keep going. But I was having to handle all of that, and then people just have the gall to say that I have the easiest job, that retail's so easy, and it frustrates me so goddamn much. I have no idea why the service industry and retail industry, especially the workers within the industry, are seen as almost subhuman for some reason, when they are arguably the hardest industries to work in. Yeah, construction sites are dangerous, but at least the danger is your own stupidity and the stupidity of your coworkers. When mistakes happen on construction sites, it is very clear who is to blame. When somebody gets killed in a gas station, it's because some idiot did drugs in a bathroom and pulled a knife on their dealer and missed. VTuber discovers boomers. True. Counterpoint, I'm not complaining because of boomers. No. I wish I was complaining because of boomers. I don't mind the boomers. In fact, a lot of the boomers I met were actually kind of nice to me because they lived in a time where retail workers were actually decent people. They lived in a time where it was respected. At least most of them. There were absolutely the boomers that were just assholes for no reason because they saw me as subhuman, blah, 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 for many reasons aside from being a retail worker. But still, my point is, it was just so frustrating. Some of the things I had to deal with just for existing. What the fuck? Okay. I think I used Strong Flash. Yeah, right. I need to farm Strong Flash. I need to go to Ancestor Grotto. I need to go out west. Yeah, I'll go out west. It's, unironically, a lot of it is, from my experience, millennials and Gen Z. Don't even get me started on Gen Alpha. Gen Alpha is... They are fucking brutal. But no, it's just mostly high school students and other people who are part of Gen Z who got lucky. Because most of the people who are walking into a gas station aren't, like, they're one of two things. Either they are themselves poor and they understand, or they aren't poor and that's why they're at a gas station, because they don't mind the fucking $9. Gen A can't work yet. Innocent. Gen Alpha is 15 years old. They're 15 as of this year, Innocent. You know that, right? You understand that, right? And yes, I am complaining about teenagers and kids being fucking horrible, but that's just a general rule of thumb. Working in retail, you learn one of two things. You learn a lot of your own personal limits for social situations because you will be tested in the most bizarre ways that you would have never thought of before. You will very quickly learn what kind of person you are. And very quickly learn what your limits are. And you will have to actively manage your own mental health on the job to make sure that you don't cuss somebody out for being fucking stupid or just being an asshole, because again, you're not allowed to do that, obviously. So to avoid getting fired, like to avoid doing something stupid or saying something stupid, you just kind of have to blot out other people's stupidity. You have to go numb to it, which, I mean, for me is kind of easy. I've had to be numb and ignore things throughout most of my life, so I'm particularly experienced in it, but it does not change how frustrating things can be sometimes. My God, things can be very frustrating sometimes. And it's worse when you're working at a gas station or that type of job because there's nobody else there. A lot of the times, it's just you. That also means that you don't get to go to the bathroom because who's gonna watch the counter? Because nobody wants to use the self-checkout, and 90% of your customers are going to be buying drugs of some variety, whether it be nicotine, alcohol, etc., something that needs an ID, or they're not gonna be smart enough to manage the self-pay at the gas pump, so they're gonna walk in to try and pay inside, because some people can't manage putting their card in a machine, waiting for the machine to tell them that they're good, and then pumping gas. Like, I get it. It's very complicated, and the machines aren't always responsive because they're old, but my God, the amount of people that I've been, yeah, no, just be a little bit patient. The machine doesn't always tell you what it's doing. Sometimes you just have to be patient. And then they're like, well, I don't have time for that. I'm just going to come in. And it's like, it literally takes you longer to walk in, wait in line, pay inside, walk outside, and then start pumping than it does to just start pumping out there. The time that they waste walking in is time that they don't factor towards time that could be spent otherwise. I guess it's because it's more active, but anyways, largely the closest thing that you get to telling these people how to better manage their time is just telling them how the machine works. and giving them the heads up that they should be patient with it. It's about the best you can do, and 90% of people don't care because everybody's looking for instant gratification. And for that purpose, I blame the fact that pretty much every part of modern life is constantly trying to instill in people that if something doesn't happen instantly, that it's not going to happen at all and something's wrong. And granted, there are a fair amount of people that are reasonable and understand you have to wait sometimes. And I don't mind the people that are having to wait and then just want a sanity check that things are functioning. I don't mind giving sanity checks of nope, the machines are just in fact slow. But I do mind when people get asshole-ish about it. And that was most of the people that would talk about it, is they would just be assholes about it. And I reckon that will always be the case. I mean, fuck. There's so few jobs where you can have to worry about basically an entire store on your own, and then get chewed out for how easy your job supposedly is. What's funny to me in my situation was I was having to do so many other people's jobs for them because they didn't fucking know how to do it. And hell, I barely even knew how to do it. I had to teach myself how to do my own job because all the training that they offered was not useful at all. And the bits and pieces of it that were actually useful and contained valid, useful information were so hard to get to that it feels almost like they weren't even supposed to include it and they had to hide it somehow beneath a bunch of corporate jargon. And I do say corporate jargon because it seems like they expect everybody who's watching those training videos and doing that training to want to move up or to, like, progress. Because it's this weird dichotomy where they treat it like the person watching it is a dumbass who doesn't even know how to fucking count to 5. Which, honestly, I don't blame them, because there's a fair amount of people that I worked with that probably couldn't count to 5 a fair amount of the time if you asked them the right way. Or at the right time frame. And then there's the other side where they're giving you actually semi-decent advice, but then having to hide it under all this corporate jargon that, like, 80% of people won't understand or care about and will just ignore. And I shit you not, I know that I'm the only person that worked at that station that paid attention to the training because I was the only one that did the training. Everybody else I worked at 2 different gas stations. Everybody else I worked with at the first gas station, the manager did the training for them. And then at the second station, they wouldn't do the training. They would turn the training videos on and then do their job because they were never given time to do the fucking training separately. I was willing to do the training, 1, on my own time, and 2, on company time as well. I was willing to actively sit down and do the training instead of sitting and scrolling on my phone for fucking 20 hours a week. Which it felt like 90% of my coworkers did, and it also felt like I was the only one that ever got called out whenever I did things, like being on my phone or sitting down. My god, the fucking constantly being told I'm not allowed to sit down. I walk in with a cane, and you're telling me I'm not allowed to sit down? For what reason? What? I shouldn't need to get a fucking doctor's note for the ability to sit down when I'm working the register. It's a cash register. Why do I need to stand? Why do I need to be standing? What's the problem with me fucking sitting at a cash register? What, I'll be perceived as lazy? Working this job gets me perceived as lazy. Fuck, I can't even speak properly. Working the job gets me perceived as lazy. I might as well actually look like I'm not doing anything. I worked my ass off at those stations so aggressively that I learned I can't stand for long periods of time or walk for long periods of time anymore. I used to be able to. Now that I've worked that job for 2 years almost, I can't anymore. I actually can't. My legs will hurt after 2 hours of standing. And I will actually collapse after like 6 hours of standing and or walking without breaks. I don't know if that's because of muscle degradation. I don't know if it's related to my heart. I'm pretty sure it's related to my heart because I'm sure it's a blood flow problem because I had that before. Thank you, Pfizer, and thank you, the dumbasses who take every fucking criticism of a vaccine as somehow proof vaccines don't work or whatever the fuck, which then discourages the real talks about the real issues with vaccines because it's all this fake bullshit of something causing cancer or autism or whatever the fuck, which makes anybody scared to say that vaccines might have other side effects because God fucking forbid the victims of those side effects get any level of closure or anything for that matter. I'm having to rely on me and my cardiologist's theory crafting because we weren't allowed to do anything more than that. The insurance companies didn't want to hear it. So we just had to discuss with each other what we thought the problem with my heart could be. And we're fairly certain that that's correct, all things considered. It's the most plausible theory that makes the most sense, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's true, and we have no way of proving it. And furthermore, I almost died in the fucking hospital because of it. Like, I survived it, and no research could be done. They just weren't allowed to research anything, they weren't allowed to look into anything. All of it was just denied. So I'm stuck in a situation where I just survived something that damaged my heart and could very well kill somebody else, very plausibly related to the Pfizer vaccine. And there's nothing we can do about it because some dumbasses love to spout about how blah 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 vaccines cause autism and all this other provably false bullshit. Because it makes them fucking feel good or stroke their own ego or some shit. Also, I am not getting that much strong flesh anymore. I'm at 57. That should probably be enough for all the crafting I need to do. Is there anything I'm missing? I have the gold. I have the oat string. Paper. I need paper. Wood cutting is next. Start wood cutting. You got bad RNG, never gamble. Okay, I've gotten bad RNG, but I've also gotten good RNG. You know what? You know what? As RT Game would say, I didn't gamble hard enough. I should have gambled harder. I just should have gambled harder. Also, it is really hot in this room. I actually can't believe I'm saying that in the middle of winter. It is hot in this room. Hold on. I'm gonna open my door. I'm also gonna change the fan to the other way around. So it cools them. I can't believe I'm actually having to do this. Oh, it's not even cold outside. Wait, what the fuck? Wait, hold on. It was in the... What is it outside? There's no way it's 24 degrees outside. Google, you're lying through your damn teeth. That is not 24 degrees. I'm watching snow melt. I am watching snow and ice melt. At 24 degrees? In this humidity? There's no way. It has to be hotter than that. It's fucking hot in this room. What's my laptop doing? Well, for one, it logged me out. And for two, it does seem to be running, bar some fan is also spinning a lot slower than it normally does. I can't believe I'm having to cool my room in the middle of winter. This is so cursed. Middle of winter, there's like 2 to 3 feet of snow on the ground outside, and I'm turning the heat down because it's too hot. And it's not like I turned the heat up in the first place. The heat has been the same for the past couple days. Man. Anyways. Sorry I'm kind of going on a random tangents about random things. That is kind of just my MO when it comes to conversation. Right. Well, there is some crafting I can do before I go to that. Can't do armoring because I need paper and wood. Can't do weapons with things. So I have tailoring. I can do tailoring right now, which will be 4 and 2 and 2 and 4. Not bad. That does mean I need to pull out my string though. Unfortunately, I don't have enough of either tier 3. I do have plenty of the tier 2s. I'll start with the highest level boots that I can craft. And I don't have any strong flesh out. Here we are. Hopefully I get a decent amount of crafting XP from this. Yeah. Good durability too. Really good durability. I'm gonna grab this. I should probably empty my inventory out a little bit. Anything else to sell? I don't think I have anything else worth selling. Yeah. I also need to repair my pickaxe. Alright. Now to the fire I go. Dispose of that. That. Assorted seeds are good. That's a fair amount of poison damage. Not enough to matter. I mean, times 4, I guess that gets you 60 poison damage over 3 seconds. Max roll. Still not bad. Still not good, though. Not good. Trout. I need salmon for the oat grains. I'll keep this in case my alchemism's not leveled high enough, though. I think I'll check that now. Is my alchemism leveled high enough? 22? Yeah. My alchemism is leveled high enough. I can get rid of them. I will sell these, actually. The moment I said sell, the blacksmith swung around. Yeah, so I think I sell these. Anyways. No, like... I have so many stories from working at the stations. At both of them. But the first station, I have a lot of stories from. The second station, I have a few. Oh god. Some of these stories I should probably tell my mother and my stepfather at some point. I don't know if I'm going to tell it to the stream before I tell it to them. My mother's going to be mad about some of these stories. Not because I did anything, but because I didn't tell her. No, I've had a lot of interesting experiences. Like I said, I've been threatened with various different weapons. It's not fun. It's not fun, it's not interesting, there's nothing cool about it. Kinda just terrifying. I guess it always will be, because the nature of being threatened kinda does that. But still, sucks. That is a really good roll. That is actually a really good roll. I'll take that. That I will keep and equip when it comes leveled. I'm low on oat string. It's so over. I got not the best roll. Ah. The damage increases from that should be nice though. Honestly. I think I'm gonna sell the rest of this. You know what? No, I'll keep it for if I need to power level it at some point. I will keep it for power leveling. These, on the other hand, these I will sell. The tier 2. Gold I still want because I have to use gold for a lot of other things still. I think... Oh, wait. What's the 20... What's level 20 wood? It's gold and willow. Oh, no. I don't like collecting willow. Oh, this gets sketchy. Excuse me. Excuse me. Anyways, where was I? Oh, yeah. So, I want to clarify, like, I was born in the US. I have lived here a fair amount of my life. And by a fair amount, I mean all of my life, but... I have never particularly enjoyed it here, because at literally every step of my life, I'm always coming up against just stupidity. And like, yeah, the immediate response to that is, oh, well, every country, you'll experience that. But it's like, no, when I say stupidity, I mean government level failures on every stage of my life I've encountered. From something as simple as the education system being so horribly underfunded that I knew more than my teachers about some topics from just Googling and researching the topic because I was a relatively curious kid. I was a nerd. I still am, I know, but I used to be a lot bigger of a nerd than I was. Other side of the bell curve? No, I know that, innocent, but my point is government level failings aren't common in every country. My point is that bell curve normally doesn't look as aggressive as it does in other well-off countries. If you do the comparisons, it's not nearly as popular. I mean, fuck, you have people saying that medical aid seems more desperate here in the US than some third world countries, coming from the people who volunteered in third world countries. And yeah, I kind of see that now because I myself am encountering the, well, if you don't have health insurance or if you have bad health insurance, in other words, i.e., you're not rich or you don't have a job that pays for everything for you, you're just kind of SOL. Good fucking luck. You don't get medical care unless you can afford the doctor's salary. So unless you could basically fucking employ a doctor, good fucking luck getting health anything. And yeah, there are some basic options that exist for people who are completely and utterly fucked, but the funding for those programs gets cut every other fucking week at this point, every other year for the past couple decades. The same goes with the Department of Education, like basically everything else, because every fucking functional system's having money laundered out of it somehow. And again, I want to clarify, I'm not surprised that any of this is happening. I'm complaining openly that it's happening because, I mean, it's not going to be fixed, but I can sit here and pray. Maybe somebody fucking does something. Maybe somehow this reaches the right person at the right time. And, you know, worst case scenario, nothing happens and I at least get a chance to vent publicly. Or at least have the hope that maybe it changes something. Even if it's just a hope, it's still better than fucking nothing, because right now there's not really much else going on here. Not anything good anyways, that's for sure. Just, no, like, every level of my life I've encountered government-level incompetence, or just general incompetence. And it's frustrating when I'm able to, as a kid, point out all the flaws, and then everybody's reaction is effectively, yeah, no, you're right. So then what's being fucking done about it? Nothing. Because nobody's in a position of power to do something about it, and the people who are in a position of power to do something about it, don't care. Or, quite frankly, can't be bothered. And while there are some people who are actively trying to do things, they get shut down. Pretty regularly, they get shut down left and right for existing. And everybody's claiming it's a corrupt system, and yet still nothing changes. And the people who are actually changing something are somehow making things worse. Honestly didn't think it was possible, but here we are. I guess if you put people who are actively malicious in charge, it turns out they're, you know, going to abuse the power that they were given to continue to be actively malicious. But hey, at least they accidentally do some good things. We finally got rid of pennies. We finally stopped minting pennies after 20-something years of pennies being absolute dead weights on the economy, something that has been argued left and right for the better part of 20 years as just a, yeah, pennies are kind of stupid, they have no reason to exist aside from the one kind of decent but still super flawed argument of, but what about the charities? Like, pennies are still going to be legal tender, they're still going to be accepted, they're just not going to be minted anymore, which is good. They shouldn't have been in the first place. It's literally just, like, shredding money. People make the argument of, oh, but there's no precedent for that yet. And I'm like, the halfpenny existed. Anybody heard of a halfpenny before? No? Good. Because we got rid of it the moment it became worthless. The moment it wasn't worth anything enough to be useful, they got rid of it. And it had more buying power than today's dime, adjusting for inflation at that time. Now, it's like... Or, no, that wasn't even today's dime. Fuck. I think the halfpenny at that time had more buying power than today's quarter at this point, because that was research I did in 2012. 12 years ago. And it's not like it's gotten better. Are you fucking kidding me? I've joked about that occurring so often, and that it actually happens. Wow. Okay. I didn't expect it to ever actually happen. Oh, hi. I recognize you. Please don't be double XP. No double XP. Alright, good. Anyways. It's not like it's gotten any cheaper. It's not like we've had any level of deflation since then. It's just gotten significantly worse. And like, yeah, sure, the moment you start arguing inflation talking points, people who think they understand what's happening come out of the fucking woodworks and then be wrong publicly. I am willing to admit, I personally don't fucking understand the entirety of the economy. I'm never going to claim to. I'm going to listen to the people who are actually professionals on it when they speak, though. Because I respect that other people might know more than I do about any given topic. Which is, within itself, somehow a hard thing for some people to believe, I guess. Like, God forbid people specialize in other topics and might know more than you about something. Not every topic can be understood in less than 5 minutes. Then again, I'm not really surprised by this. I mean, fucking, we have research on this. It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. There's been plenty of research on it. Some significantly more fucked up than other. But still. Alright, I think at this point I start collecting paper. I'm gonna need a lot more paper than I need wood, because wood I realistically only need 4. So I'm gonna start collecting paper from this point on, because I'm using paper for armor. I think with... No, because I need 6. Never mind, I still need to collect wood, because that's 6 and 3. I forgot. Armor is 6. What are you doing here? What are you doing over here, bub? I'm gonna get flyby jab. But anyways, it's something that's been fairly well documented and researched for decades now, and yet it seems to still be such a very prevalent problem. And again, I want to clarify, I'm not surprised by any of this, I'm just complaining about it. And yeah, I guess the moment you start saying things on the internet, suddenly there's a problem no matter what you're saying. Somebody will find problems with anything you're saying. Period. And if you do so in a public forum, generally you'll be more likely to attract attention from people that either particularly hate whatever you're saying or particularly agree with it. And again, I would much rather be wrong about this kind of thing than correct. Because if I'm wrong, then that means I'm stupid and things are actually better than they are. If I'm correct, then that means things are, well, bad. So I hope to be wrong, but I don't have any reason to believe that I am wrong in a beneficial method, or beneficial way. I have no reason to believe that things are better compared to a decade ago. Like, sure, things were getting better for a little bit until everything just got substantially worse. And it seems the entire system started to break down. But hey, I mean, aside from being the laughingstock of just everybody, maybe I should call in and be on that fucking... Maybe I should fucking shout out Boomer X tonight at this point. It's been so long since I've actually talked in any kind of detail about political things. Like, I've been doing the research and trying to keep up with stuff as best I can, but honestly, I kind of stopped doing it because it's just the it's unhealthy at this point, how bad things are to try and keep up with everything. So for a fair bit now, I've been trying to distance myself as much as I can so I can just try and hope that things work out, because it's not like I can do anything about it. It's not like I'm ever going to be able to do anything about it, but at least I don't have the ability to realize it's worse than I thought if I'm not paying too terribly much attention to it. For the moment. Okay, finally I got 6. I'm gonna switch to paper again. Drop that key, because I literally can't do anything with it. That's kind of a bad dungeon to do anyways. I think I already did Infested Pit as well. I didn't see the quest line available earlier. I think the quest is already done, so it's probably already done. Anyways, Innocent, I'm sorry for giving you what probably felt like a heart attack for the past however long I was on that rant for. Needed to say something, and that's been on my mind for a while. Well, all of it's been on my mind for a while, for the better part of most of my life. Okay. Well, thanks for the confirmation you weren't paying attention to any of that. Good. It's honestly probably for the best. Also, something tells me I don't want to know what you mean by that. On the other hand, congratulations on job progress. Here's hoping you don't get immediately promoted to manager and then fired for being promoted to manager. And here's hoping that your father's able to get you a decent pay, because I'm gonna be honest. You are particularly in a situation where you could get a little bit more than minimum wage. If they have shift differentials, by the way, abuse the ever-loving shit out of shift differentials. Working third shift genuinely isn't bad, especially if you're used to staying up late. It is not the worst thing. Third shift, graveyard shift, whatever you want to call it. Graveyard shift is not the worst shift out there. My only issue with graveyard shift is like it gets sketchy. Tips for the first time workers. Remember, working, everybody is in the same position you are. Everybody is in the same position you are. The only difference is some are more comfortable with the environment, some already know what's happening. So if you're ever confused or concerned about something, feel free to ask. The most important part of working is and always will be communication. If you are not communicating with people, like say if you have questions or if you don't know how to do something, instead of beating your head against a brick wall, ask your coworkers or your manager. Initially, for like your first couple shifts, probably going to be asking your manager a lot of questions. But it does not hurt to try and ask questions from fellow coworkers to try and, one, alleviate your manager of having to answer all of your questions. But two, as an amazing starting point for interacting with your coworkers and getting to know them better. The best way to get to know coworkers and to start open dialogue and communications with coworkers when you're a new hire is by asking them how to do things. If you don't know how to do things, or if you just have a question on where something is, the best way to open dialogue with somebody at work is, unsurprisingly, talking about work. And when you're a newcomer, the only thing you can reliably do is ask questions. So do not be afraid to ask questions. Just make sure that you choose people that won't get too annoyed or don't seem like they get annoyed easily. Because there are some people that will actively despise you asking questions. So kind of just use your best social judgments. But the best thing that you can do is make work friends. Because, yeah, sometimes it'll just lead to drama, but more often than not, it will lead to genuine friendships. Just key trick. Remember, you interacting with these people is entirely tangent on working with them at a job. Never forget that. Never forget your coworkers are nothing more than that. Coworkers. Your only interactions with them are likely to be at work, and if they're outside of work, it will be about work. Unless you want to take something a step further, or if they're just like actually your type of people and you bond over other things, your only perceived thing that you will both be able to reliably talk about and agree about will likely be work. And if that's all you have going between you and somebody else, try and recognize that. Don't be offended if somebody else tells you the only reason that they're willing to hang out with you is at work, or like if that's the only time. Because it's completely reasonable, because when you're deciding who you're going to socialize with in a work environment, it's a lot more about taking the people that are around you and determining who you hate the least, or who you can most easily stand being around for long periods of time, or who you work best with. And sometimes the people you work best with, you might not necessarily agree with or get along with in other contexts. A lot of work is going to be social, even if you're going into like online work or into individualistic work where it's more contract focused. Especially in those instances, it is a lot more social than you realize. Because a lot of it comes down to properly and accurately communicating. That is absurdly funny. There is no fucking shot he got a perfect. That is actually insane. I'm sending that to... Well, I don't want to die. Hold on. Let me get to a safe spot, and then I'm gonna alt-tab and send that to the funny group chats. Why are there zombies in this guy's house? What the hell? Who just leaves zombies in their house? I'm gonna post this here. Hold on. Bar. Win booth. and that's really funny. I hit R. I'm stupid. All right. But yeah, it's always going to be... It's always going to be social. All work will be social, even if you don't think it will be. Whether it be working directly with your manager, working directly with other employees, it is good to understand the social structure you're walking into and be willing to recognize that everybody there is there for one purpose. The one thing you will all share in common is you are all workers, all achieving or working towards one goal, or even subsects that lead towards that goal. Understanding the workplace dynamics is paramount to being able to fluently move around a workplace. And I know that sounds like a bunch of fucking random jargon, like, yeah, no shit. But when I say specifics like don't be surprised when people don't necessarily want to hang out after work, or try to avoid people who you don't necessarily get along with at work, that kind of thing, you want to do so without starting drama. Because drama is what gets people fired. Most of the time, I'm not even going to say incompetence. In my experience, it doesn't matter how incompetent you are. It doesn't matter how many times you show up to work drunk 4 hours early for your shift, saying you'll sober up and then start working immediately. It doesn't matter how many times you get caught with high-level drugs. It's some people just are unfireable for one reason or another. And the only way you're going to deal with those people is by just avoiding drama. Because the primary thing that gets people fired is drama and budget cuts. Don't give people a reason to not like you. Don't give people a reason to particularly enjoy you. And you will always be in that middle ground. If you are the best, or if you are a particularly hard worker and you're known for that, one of two things happens. You get respected for it, or you get hated for it, because some people will hate that you do your job well, or that you do your job properly. You can do your job by the book, and people will hate you for it because it means less work for them, or because it means any other number of things. Even if you're not being a hard ass about it to other people, it will just... When you're in a workplace, you will encounter every type of human being on the planet. People who are maybe like you or very similar to you that you will particularly enjoy being around. You'll encounter people who are the complete antithesis of everything you stand for as a sentient object. I also really hate that whenever I do screenshots, it somehow fucking tabs out of Wynncraft. I have never had that be a problem with any other full screen application whenever I do Start Shift S. I've never had it tab out of the full screen application when I do that. Outside of Minecraft. It is incredibly frustrating. But anyways, just know that that will be the primary thing that determines your pay. It'll be the primary thing that determines pretty much everything. A lot of work is not actually about the work you do. It is about the social interactions with those around you. Furthermore, if you don't really do much work, but the people you work with value you as like some kind of morale boost, that kind of thing, however you want to put it, then the likelihood of people claiming that you did things you didn't do in a way that gets you promoted or gets you raises is higher. People will be more likely to help you if you are an enjoyable person to be around, but just as easily, if you don't play that card right, you can get hated for it. So just recognize that it's all a social balance because nobody ever moved on from high school. Be willing to accept that. Because that is just the unfortunate truth. You would be surprised the amount of workplace dramas that happen as an almost like poetic high school level drama that leads to people getting fired. You would be shocked how common that is. At least a fair amount of people would likely be shocked about it. There are some people that wouldn't be surprised in the slightest because, you know, they were there. They've seen it before. And that's especially true in the service industry. And while a lot of people are like, oh, well, that's not true in my industry. My brother in Christ, whoever's hiring you can fire you for largely any reason they want to. They can make up a reason. They don't have to prove it. Like, unless you bring a lawyer into the equation, and even then, that generally only works if it's discriminatory. It's not discriminatory if they're just targeting you. There's no discrimination laws that protect you as an individual. They protect groups. And generally, those laws are actually in place to protect companies from themselves. That is a really funny skin. Anyways. Why is everybody standing still? Did everybody else crash? Oh. I got excited for a second. I thought William was online. I saw Willy Cookie, and I thought that was Willed Rhythm at first glance. I was like, ooh, shit. My brother's online. That's crazy. Nope. He's not. Okay. Paper and wood. Do I have enough gold is the question. I don't know. I have enough tier 3 willow paper. I don't know what armoring's gonna be like. I know that weaponsmithing is 3 and 6. I think armoring's gonna be 3 and 6 too, but I could be wrong. Tailoring was 2 and 4. I'm gonna go to Debtless. I might need to get more paper, but I might not. We'll find out. Worst case scenario, I need to get more paper. What are we looking at here? 2 and 4? Holy shit. Wait, is it just 6 and 3 for spears? No, it's 2 and 4. It's 6 and 3 for sandstone. Okay. I'm stupid. So it's 2 and 4. Yeah. Right, I guess I pull out the strong flesh. About to make a really good chest plate. I am so close to being able to use this. That is a terrible roll. That's high durability, but that is a terrible roll on the attack damage percentage. Angry shoulder guard. Also, I can't help but notice that this is a particularly low level item. Whatever. My armoring level was lower for that. I can only make 1 helmet, so this better be good. I did not get the best on the flat attack rolls, but I did do fairly well on the percentage rolls. I hope I do better with the weapon. So it's 4 and 2? I'm gonna have to craft another one of these. This is one I can use right now. That's better. No, it's not. It's actually worse. It has better durability. What makes this worse is this is slow attack speed and it does roughly the same damage. A slow attack speed is bad. The differences between attack speed between slow, this is slow. It's roughly once every 1.5 seconds. Versus fast, I get roughly 3 hits in the time it takes to get one. So yeah, this has a 3 times higher DPS. Oh, wait a minute. Well, no, because yeah, it gets the increased main attack damage. And that same DPS scaling with fire means my actual DPS with this is going to be higher. 309.68 versus 203.21. Yeah. So that's not better. But also, to be fair, I used Strong Flesh instead of what I normally would have done, which is Pigman's Ivory. I'm going to use Pigman Ivory for the next weapon I craft. But for this one, I'm still going to use Strong Flesh because I'm primarily doing this to level my weaponsmithing. I want to make sure I'm crafting the maximum level it can attempt to craft. I want to keep crafting this until I can do roughly level 30. Ideally level 30, but we'll see. Yep, okay. Let's see how far it goes. Level 30? Yeah, not bad. More than level 30 would have been great. Level 30 was kind of the bare minimum, because this way I can at least craft the lower level stuff. Or not lower level, the next tier without having to craft more of this. This one might actually be better. Let me check. Oh, I can't use it. Well, it can't be better if I can't use it. That sucks. Well, all to sale it goes anyways. I primarily just used Strong Flesh there to level. Now, I just need one more tier 3 gold and one more tier 3 willow, so I'm probably going to have to farm for those more again. And I think... Do I have any other use for gold? No, I don't think I do. Wait a minute. Armoring is level 30, tailoring is 31, weaponsmithing is level 30. Yeah, I have no use for it. Paper is armor, armor is a high enough level. Weaponsmithing's a high enough level, it's the only use for wood that I have. So yeah, sell these. And I'm also probably going to sell all this. I won't need the oat string because my tailoring's a high enough level, right? Just want to double check that. Yep, 31. So I could sell these as well. Get a lot of money out of it. This leaves me with oat grains, a tier 3 oat string, which I'm gonna honestly dispose of at this point. That is not worth... You fucking scammer. My god. Sometimes I forget how much of a scam the blacksmith is. My god. 2 emeralds for a tier 3 piece of oat string? I could have probably sold it for like at least 500 emeralds on the player market. But again, I'm on an HUIC account, so not available for Ironman players, unfortunately. Yeah, that sucks. If I could use this for weaponsmithing, I actually would. Or armor smithing. If I could use this for weaponsmithing and armor smithing, I actually would. I think this would be an amazing level 20 ingredient. Anyways, sucks that I'm not going to be able to benefit from that, but whatever. So I think I go searching for another perfect weapon, which would be tier 3 gold, tier 3 willow. I think I'm going to start with the gold, which is at the mine that we already went to earlier this stream. Abandoned mines down here. Alright. Anyways, I've talked about some more messed up topics to this stream already, so what's something more lighthearted I can talk about? I can't really talk about anything in the tech industry because none of that's particularly good right now. I don't really know if there is much good news that I know of off the top of my head. I'm very close to getting affiliate. The average viewership right now over the last month is 2.97. TF2 added borderless windowed. TF2 update? Wait, what? I didn't hear about this. I didn't see a TF2 update. When did it drop? Hold on. TF2 update? What happened? I'm gonna look at the fucking... Hold on. I'm gonna go in this hole. I know. That's what I said. I meant what I said. Update. There's a new blog post. Holy shit. Holy shit, massive news. Okay, so Valve just released the TF2 SDK, which apparently overhauls all of the Source Engine games. They're releasing SDKs for every single primary Source Engine game, adding 64-bit support to all of them, adding performance improvements to every Source game, and giving full license to users on a non-commercial basis, so just full control as long as whatever content you make is free. Holy shit. That's amazing. I am actually happy about that. Let's look at the update then. Let's look at the actual update. They added missing files for the taunt. Added VScript support for something. Added borderless windowed. Holy shit, finally. I don't know what added support for Steam networking means. Made the default server name for listen servers include the player's name. Good. Made the game launch in native resolution by default. Holy crap, it took them this long? How long has it been standard for games to launch at native resolution? Fixed certain breakable props not jibbing correctly. Holy crap, they finally fixed that. Fixed players being able to spam duel cancellation messages for a duel that doesn't exist. Finally, it only took them so long and so many times that all this is being exploited. Are you fucking kidding me? Updated CTF Applejack? What the fuck is CTF Applejack? Innocent, why is there a CTF Applejack? There's mod support for like Half-Life last year. No. This is actually a little bit different than that. What they're doing with this is they're releasing a full and proper SDK. Hello. Okay. What that means in this case is they're releasing a source development kit, which means you can develop games with that version of the source engine yourself now. You don't need to get the licensing, like you don't need to approach Valve and say, hey, can we have this? And then pray that an engineer actually responds to your email instead of ghosting you for 15 years. But no, that's actually fucking amazing news because it means community projects for Team Fortress 2 will be actually possible. Like, so much more can be done with Team Fortress 2 server side now because you don't need to use plugins anymore. You could just change the server code and make sure that the clients don't need to have equivalent changes on them. Custom server mods will now exist aside from janky-ass plugins with official support. That means, Innocent, you know how Uncle Dane was working on bringing back 1,000 Engineers? Or whatever the fuck it was called? Originally? It means he can just... It means he and the development team that he has working on it don't have to necessarily worry about server-side limits, and they can keep the server from crashing under most circumstances. And at that point, it comes down to finding ways to make it so that the server is just not sending enough instances and stuff to clients to cause the clients to crash. When you have full control over server-side stuff, there are genuinely like server-side mods that you can create that don't have to be installed on the clients for people to experience. What allows a game like Wynncraft to exist within the engine of Minecraft is because Minecraft is a Java-based program, and Java Minecraft's all basically public. You can decompile Minecraft in literally a couple minutes. I've done it. It's not hard to do. I didn't even have to follow a guide to do it. I just looked up a thing online that said, oh yeah, no, you just take the primary jar and you just decompile the jar file. You just turn it into a fucking zip file and it works. Like, sometimes there's extracurriculars based on what you're trying to access or what you're trying to do, but for the most part, it is like 15 minutes to decompile Minecraft. Now, for Team Fortress 2 and other source branches off of TF2, it's literally going to be as simple as downloading the fucking SDK. You don't have to decompile anything because it's already being decompiled. You just have it there in front of you. And coincidentally, the inverse concern of this is that it might be easier for bots to come back again, because all bots would have to do would be, I mean, to find some client-side like make their own client that can still patch into blah 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 blah. But if your anti-cheat is server-side, or whatever they're doing is server-side, then that's fine. Like, it doesn't matter what the client does if the server is just like, oh, that's sus, and then deletes it. Like, sure, they can keep track of what they were doing in game, but there are so many ways to make it hard to experimentally figure out what is triggering an anti-cheat by just adding a pseudo-random delay to when the person gets banned or kicked, or when the account gets nullified, or when the IP gets turned off for server connections, or blacklisted, or whatever. Whatever Valve did to basically, at a flip of a switch, get rid of bots, ideally, is already something keeping track of clients being able to be completely manipulated. Because, believe it or not, there was already a text-based client for the game that didn't render anything. Like, that already existed. That was created, like, in 2014 or something. It's been TF2's client has been busted open in every which way by bots and cheaters and scammers for the better part of over a decade. Which is interesting because a lot of the times when moves like this are made by Valve, or really any game company where they're like opening up things to modding, the immediate concern is always, oh, but what about people using it for nefarious purposes? And it's like, well, they're going to use it for nefarious purposes anyways. The only difference is if they're going to use it for nefarious purposes, at least make sure that everybody can, within some kind of reasoning. Or, I guess that's kind of a poor way of wording it. If people are going to abuse the fact that it's easy to mod the client for cheating or other such purposes, then making it easier for everybody to do that doesn't make it easier to cheat. It just makes it easier for people to mod your game. And the best anti-cheating stuff you're going to implement will always be server-side. If you want to implement anti-cheating measures on the client side, good fucking luck. Seriously, good luck. Kernel-level anti-cheats don't do shit. Like, everybody knows this. It's well known that kernel-level anti-cheats are basically jokes. There's no point for them existing aside from making players feel like something's being done to protect them. Even though 90% of the time, nothing is actually being done. Aside from restrictions that prevent the client from running under certain circumstances that can be bypassed by anybody who has half a goddamn brain. The people who are going to cheat in your game don't care how easy it is to do it. They're going to do it because it's interesting. If you want to make fewer cheaters, make cheating in the game slightly easier. Raise the bar of entry client side, and all you will do is mean that the cheats that get developed are better cheats. Raise the bar of requirements server side, and people aren't going to bother because there's no way within any sane human being that they're going to get anything done. Innocent, do your job. Speaking of bots, another one just tried to chat and got immediately restricted. Because they keep trying to get me to bot views, which I'm not going to do because it's stupid. There's no point to bot fucking views. It's dumb. I don't understand why people would fall for that. I can understand why people who are desperate would fall for that, but that's the only time I would understand it. Desperation. So fucking stupid. Alright, I'm gonna sell these. Oh, wow, I have a lot of emeralds. Where did these emeralds come from? Okay, well, I have a lot more emeralds than I thought I did. I have 2.5k. Oh yeah, I can wear one of my pieces of armor. Oh, no, I can't. Right, because I got rid of that one because it was not good. Also, my mouse. I need to clean the sensor on my mouse, I think. It keeps doing random things like that. Anyways. This is almost the furthest I've made it in an HUIC run. I have gold armor set up for level 30. I think I'm gonna go and farm the willow now. I'm going east. I need to go north. Back to farming willow wood, because I am so close to making this out of tier 3, and I would love to do that. Especially if I want this weapon to be good. But anyways. Massive W for Valve for actually releasing the SDK, let alone going out of their way to make it. Because from the sounds of it, the SDK didn't exist. They actually had to build it. Which is fucking amazing. Of course it's Oakwood. God damn it. It's actually fucking amazing. I do have to be careful here in this area because I actually am kind of in danger here. If I'm not careful, I will die. Again, I'd rather be distracted than bored. Anyways. I'm glad to hear that Valve is finally stepping up their game though and like actually supporting mods again properly. I sincerely hope that they continue to do stuff and stop being kind of scummy. Because honestly, I think one big issue of Valve is a lot of it's money driven now. And like, I get it kind of always was a little bit money driven. They didn't used to be as blatant about it. They used to be a little bit less obvious. And by used to be, I mean, once Half-Life 2 released, I don't know, the post-Half-Life 2 era where they just kind of went for money-making and min-maxed money-making kind of sucked. Because, yeah, we still got some really good games. We got the fucking Portal games, Left 4 Dead. And I mean, the esports are kind of okay, but a lot of their esport titles are, you know, it's just objectively gambling for children. Like, that's been a big issue in pretty much all of their esports, is a lot of it is just gambling. And it's kind of frustrating for me to see a company like Valve refuse to admit that it's gambling, because that's ultimately what it is. And yeah, gambling is what made Counter-Strike popular. The esport thing is a side effect. Gambling is what made it popular. I'm gonna be honest. One thing I will say though is the way that Valve abandoned Team Fortress 2, honestly, probably should be some form of illegal. Because again, it's a live service game. I understand the argument of like, oh, it's free, blah, 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 but like, you can't stop supporting, you can't stop actively and properly supporting a game when the expectation is that it will be getting updates, etc. For no reason, without telling the consumer base why, and without giving them refunds. Like, yeah, things have to end after a period of time, don't get me wrong, but they never said it was gonna end, and they're still making money off of it. So, like, I don't know. I guess it's my frustration with the Team Fortress 2 situation where it is right now. There's just development fucking purgatory. Even with this new modding update, it's still really cool. We get more mods and more client-side stuff, but it doesn't do any balancing changes. It's not new content. It's not actually good content, honestly. It's not fixing the broken matchmaking system that makes the game virtually unplayable right now. It's not bringing back quick play. It's not fixing competitive mode, which most people would just say competitive mode, Valve competitive's a lost cause. I would say Valve should have just gone with Highlander. I don't know why Valve chose 6s. I think Valve made a mistake when they chose 6s as the official thing. Because a big argument was like, oh, but Valve needs to make the casual and competitive scene need to be as similar to each other as possible, or the equivalent, like the general gameplay needs to be as similar as possible. So why the hell did they choose 6s as the competitive format? Or hell, if it's such a problem, give the player a choice. Have there be multiple different leagues. I mean, fuck, Counter-Strike has several different competitive game modes. Between normal competitive ranked, you also have Wingman, and those are entirely separate leaderboards, entirely different types of competitive, entirely different ways of playing the game. All with their own uniquely interesting, or both with their own uniquely interesting ways of play. So why can't 6s and Highlander be their own options as well? Why did they have to choose one and then do it poorly? And like, I understand the argument of, oh, but they had to make it as similar to casual as possible. And I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. Because the primary difference between casual and competitive TF2 is communication. It's the expectation of player coordination and communication. Like, yeah, a lot of comp bubbles have weapon bans, and some of them have like different ways of playing different game modes and restrictions and map pools, but you know what I mean. It's still vanilla TF2. They're just restricting weapons and classes, and they're adding restrictions onto vanilla as opposed to changing vanilla. Ultimately, it's still vanilla. You're just not allowed to use certain weapons or play certain classes. I kid, but it's 100% real and possible. No, I know. TF2 Dark RP has been a thing for a while. Innocent, what do you think I did in Gmod? No, most of the Gmod Dark RP stuff I did was, surprisingly or not, Team Fortress 2 related. Download HUDs via the workshop now? That's fucking amazing. That should have happened so much sooner. The TF2 workshop is so non-functional right now, by the way. I don't know if they fixed that. I hope they fixed that in the update. There's a particular map that I like using for practicing stuff in TF2, TR Walkway. You have to get it via Game Banana, because if you get it via Steam Workshop, it don't work anymore. I don't know when they broke it, but it never installs anything from the Steam Workshop anymore. Like anything, period. It just doesn't work. I haven't been able to get it to work anyways. So I'm assuming that has been a problem for other people. I'm hoping it has been. And it seems to have been, because the Steam page, or the Steam Workshop page for TR Walkway seems to be just as abandoned as ever. And the Game Banana version has been relatively popular still. But anyways, as I was saying, I kind of disagree with the idea that Valve needed to build a bridge between casual and competitive. Everybody likes to say that there's this big rift between the two communities, and there isn't. This just comes down to the fucking the really, really dumb, silly versus tryhard debate. Like, the friendlies versus the tryhard shit. It's stupid. Both sides are stupid. They're just... You're playing the game for different reasons and doing different things. just because there's small changes in like format and how you're interacting with the game doesn't mean the game is fundamentally different. Counter-Strike's casual mode is nothing like the competitive mode at all. I don't know if anybody here has played Counter-Strike's casual mode, quote unquote, but it's like what, 8v8 lightning rounds basically? Casual mode in Counter-Strike is like an 8v8 lightning round. Your individual impact is virtually fucking meaningless on the round because there's so many people. And furthermore, good luck coordinating. Nobody coordinates in that shit. Nobody coordinates in casual CS. Any coordination that happens in casual CS is an accident. What happens is the people who are new to the game die or kill each other in the first 2 minutes of the match, or not even of the match, of the round, and then the people who are slightly vaguely better at the game actually complete the round. That's it. And the likelihood of actual communication is very low. It's basically just deathmatch, but with an objective. That's all it is. And casual TF2 is the same way. It's a 12v12 clusterfuck where almost any teamwork is incidental. Between me and Innocent isn't even the best at the game. But just between me and Innocent actively communicating, we can still pub stomp. We have turned around pub stomps by just communicating with each other, because me and Innocent are in a Discord call, and I play... like, one of us plays medic, the other one plays whatever class desperately is needed to stop whatever momentum the enemy team has. And between me and Innocent, we're able to communicate effectively enough to kill the momentum the enemy team has, enough to bring our team back towards somewhat level fairness. People in casual TF2 don't communicate, and when they do, it's a wonderful thing. Almost everybody enjoys a good, even casual TF2 match. But because of the way the matchmaking system currently exists, or is set up, those just don't happen. Which really sucks, don't get me wrong. But it's still possible to have fair matches if you are willing to play things more slowly or change how you play to make sure that most people in the match are having fun. All just comes around to not being an asshole. Which can be hard for a lot of the TF2 community because it's a mixed bag of internet trolls, yeah, kind of just people trolling each other. That is just a TF2 community, is a bunch of trolls. That's all we are. I mean, some of us are wholesome, but most of the TF2 community is just trolling. And don't get me wrong, it can be very funny, but it's also kind of frustrating at times because they'll do rage bait. I don't know why rage bait is such a common thing in TF2. Like, what are you expecting? Everybody who's playing the game is dedicated. They're not gonna break down because they're losing some 2-fort match unless they're a super tryhard. And even then, like, I'd like to think that those people are mostly joking. I like to think that. I don't actually believe that, but I'd like to. Right, I don't need to go there anymore. Now I need to go to Pigman Ravine. Because I need to farm Pigman Ivory, which means I need to go west. What was I saying? Right. I just fundamentally disagree with the fact that there was ever a rift between the casual and competitive. The primary rift between casual and competitive has always just been player perspective, player communications, how the players interact with the game. TF2 is designed to be such an open-ended, basically party game. Like, look at fucking Smash Brothers. Smash Brothers literally started out as a party game. It still exists primarily as a party game, and yet people play it competitively. And yeah, like, the competitive group complain when certain things happen, like when Steve was added and turned out Steve was just super overpowered in the right hands. Like, yeah, that kind of overpowered, kind of sucks. But it's because they're not balancing for competitive. It's a party game. Team Fortress 2 is just a party game that people took competitively. And to that end, yeah, some changes have to be made for competitive to be more fun and interesting. But that's, at the end, all it is to make competitive more fun and interesting in a competitive light. Playing a sport competitively comes down towards agreeing on a set of rules that neither side will break and abiding by them. And some games have varying different rules, varying different point score structures. Different types of the same sport will have different types of blah, 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 blah. Because at the end of the day, most sports are just group activities. Any group activity can be a party game if you try hard enough. It's just most sports end up being played competitively. And that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't know why so many issues come around when people start playing things competitively or start playing casually. Three pigment ivory. I need more than this. I need 3 more. Halfway there. And Team Fortress 2, I think, would be a fucking amazing esport. I think Highlander would be really fun. And if there was an official Highlander mode, I would grind the shit out of that, assuming the matchmaking worked. And even then, hear me out here. The matchmaking doesn't have to necessarily be skill-based for it to be fun. Something as simple as, like, putting together teams, not at random, but just, you know, making people put together their own teams and then playing against other put-together teams. Then you can have a hierarchy. I don't know, something similar to how community works. But making it simpler. Just put together a team of fucking 9 or 6 friends, have everybody together in a call, and queue up, and other people who are queued with those groups will be able to play. The reason for 6s existing would become if you don't have that many friends. And if you want to play a game competitively, no matter what game it is, you're gonna play with friends. Like, yeah, there's plenty of people who do CSGO, but they play for whatever, the solo shit, and it's funny, and they do it as a challenge, or the Smurf, or because they want to practice, whatever. Sure, but Team Fortress 2 is so obviously too complex to throw in a proper matchmaking system. At least, I wouldn't expect it to be reasonable to put one into Team Fortress 2, unless you're Valve. And before anybody gets their panties in a knot, yeah, no, something Valve isn't special, but they're also fucking Valve. They are some of the smartest people on the planet when it comes to computers in general. Work for them. They hire clinical psychologists because they want to design their games to be more fun. And you think that they can't find a way to determine a decent way of measuring a player's individual skill? Because yeah, there are more subjective or objective methods. But honestly, I think the best way to go about it would be to fucking set it up so that people's MMR rating isn't just a set MMR rating. I mean, fuck, you can just have it be an average MMR rating across multiple classes. Find ways to determine how good a player is at any given class, then all you need to do is optimize how to determine somebody's skill level at a given class, then have all of that average out over gameplay. Valve hosts most of the servers. They have all of the stats. Valve is known for their fucking their information collection. They are well known for how much information and data that they collect. And have the potential to collect. What they could do is just look at competitive players, like determine what kinds of activities and what kinds of actions would be more or less skill, or hell, even have it be based off of in-game metrics. Like, if you're playing medic, the more you heal, the more people you save from dying. Like, I don't know, any number of metrics. The number of Uber charges that led to successful kills or objective completions. Like, that kind of thing. That it is measurable metrics that you can average out to reasonably describe how good somebody is at a given class. And Valve is perfectly capable of doing the grunt work to make it work. Not even just well, but fucking seamlessly. Without destroying their servers. The issue was they didn't care. I think Valve stopped caring about Team Fortress 2 long before Meet Your Match, long before they decided to make it competitive. I think Valve gave up on Team Fortress 2 for entirely different reasons. I think Valve gave up on Team Fortress 2 shortly after its launch. Because you can tell the exact moment when the quality of updates started to change. Now, going free-to-play, love it or hate it, was a good decision for Team Fortress 2 overall. The Manconomy update, love it or hate it, was, a decision. And the Manconomy update got us some pretty decent things. Like, yeah, sure, it was their test bed for a new monetary style, but it wasn't particularly predatory at the time. And that was the key thing. It started out as not predatory, but then they started to become more and more predatory after that point. So sometime between the Manconomy update and sometime between the Manconomy update and we'll say Christmas of 2014 is when Valve kind of started to give up on TF2. Emphasis on started to. They didn't fully give up, obviously, until Meet Your Match, because Meet Your Match was the last major update. And I don't think Meet Your Match was a failure for Valve because of the community's response. I think Meet Your Match was known to be a failure long before it got released. For fuck's sake, the competitive betas, nothing changed. They didn't listen to player feedback. Valve wasn't listening to player feedback. Valve stopped listening to player feedback. The same Valve that changed CS2's entire balancing because of the competitive players complaining about things, because of community feedback. They changed virtually the entire game. And how it fundamentally worked with player feedback. And this was after they gave up on TF2. Sure, they missed the mark here and there, but they were still paying attention. I would say that Valve hasn't fundamentally changed. I think that Valve has just given up in some ways. They've gotten complacent, so a lot of them just aren't doing anything. I think ultimately what's happening is fucking capitalistic nihilism. I genuinely think that's what's happened. And I only say that because look at what's happening in the hardware division. Like, SteamOS has been promised for like how many years now, and they just haven't gotten around to it? Like, yeah, there's all the jokes about Valve time, but look at the actual final products and look how long it actually took them from prototyping to completion. Like, a lot of the times they end up remaking stuff because they don't like it. Or, like, look at Half-Life Alyx, for example. Technically, it was in the works for, like, years and years and years, but Half-Life Alyx was only really in proper development for, like, what, 3 years? Yeah, something like that. It was only in proper development for, like, 3 years. Pretty much every major game they've released, the actual time that they were developing towards that game, aside from their biggest games, aside, like, Half-Life, pretty much, was like, oh, they spent, like, a couple years on it. Team Fortress 2 just so happens to be, like, a decade-long project because they kept changing things. But the final versions of TF2 came around over the course of, like, what, 5 years? Because they just kept working on different projects that weren't Team Fortress 2 yet, until they found Team Fortress 2, like, found the vision and actually executed on it. So there's Valve time, and then there's, you know, what actually ends up happening. Which is honestly just how long it takes people to get dedicated. I think Valve's primary issue is just that they aren't dedicated anymore. And like, yeah, they're still kind of dedicated in some aspects, but not nearly in enough ways that it's meaningful. If that makes sense. Anyways. God, that was supposed to be a positive thing, and I somehow made it negative. Also, it is really fucking hot in here again. Now I'm guessing the entire apartment's hot. That's, kind of concerning. Okay, where was I? Right, wait, I was gonna make the weapon. I have the ingredients for the weapon now. Yeah. Alright. Now, this is the progress we've made this stream, chat. We have completed a couple caves, we've completed a bit of content, but the primary progress was we have our next set of equipment. And we are about to see how lucky we get with this craft. Cross your fingers, chat. We're hoping for a high damage, fast attack speed weapon. Please, 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 please. Maybe even 2 powder slots. Please, please 2 powder slots and fast attack. 1 powder slot, that's fine, but we did get fast attack, and my god, that main attack damage. 5 to 9, 9 times 6, brain. That's like, it's not bad. With 54 as our max, we got what? We got a 77% roll. I will fucking take that. 77%'s not bad. And that sprint regen. Wait, hold on. Wow, our sprint regen is almost perfect. We got 43 out of a maximum of 48. We got an 89% roll. That would round up. We got a 90% roll, basically, on the sprint regen. We got fast attack speed, and we got high rolls. That is fucking amazing. Unfortunately, we did only get 1 powder slot, and the damage isn't the best. 28 to 35 base. That is not much better than my level 16 of 15 to 19. Which would actually be a little bit higher because this is subtracted a little bit. it's still better. 74 compared to 79. That average DPS number, by the way, doesn't consider that plus 42 main attack damage. This is still a really, really good weapon. I think next stream, I think tomorrow, we're going to focus on grinding our combat level up, because we've already done most of the content we can for this level. That isn't threatening. Like, I could do Lava Springs, I could do Grave Digger, I could do Pit of the Dead, I could do the Dark Descent, Dwelling Walls, Cluck Cluck, and Lost Tower. Like, I could do these, but these are a little bit dangerous. Especially Dwelling Walls, Pit of the Dead, and Grave Digger. These could kill me. So I don't want to do them until I have enough gear to confidently go in and not die. So with that being said, I think we are in a really, really good spot for the moment. I have slated these streams to be not that long for the moment. I want to go on for long streams in general. But until I get my sleep schedule completely fixed, I will try and stick to the schedule I currently have posted on Twitch, which is Sunday through Thursday, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. EST. So I know I'm ending a little bit early, and I started on time, but mostly a little bit late. But yeah, that'll be it for today. Thank you all for listening, watching, whatever you ended up doing, most likely listening. And thanks for sticking with me throughout my kind of unhinged rants. It's been fun having you all around. Have a good day, night, or evening, depending on whichever time you were watching this at, or whichever time you would prefer to enjoy. And I will catch you all on the flip side. For those who want to donate to support me, you can go and do so on my Patreon. You can also interact with any of my streams. You can turn on the notification bell, follow, subscribe, like, whatever's applicable for wherever you're watching this. Feel free to read the description or the About page and go click through to the other social links and interact with those posts or those accounts. Maybe even join the Discord server. And yeah. Thank you all. See you tomorrow.